Hello gamers! Now you may have noticed this video is probably going to be very long, because chances are I'm not really going to cut this video. This is all going to mostly just go out raw. Maybe I'll just edit this intro and that's about it. This is an interesting thing I've kind of never done before. I have done some reactions, of course, to content, and that stuff mostly ends up on the Clips channel, because, you know, it tends to be short. But this is definitely not short, because I'm sure you guys have come across a certain video titled The Atrocious Gacha Review Fate Grand Order by, I'm gonna butcher their name, Psyche, maybe? I'm sorry, I can't read your name. But yeah, this is, he like makes a lot of these kinds of videos, apparently. I never knew about his channel, sadly, before this video, and I figured, hey, I'm literally a day one player. I'm one of the bigger FGO content creators on the English side. I have played this game since launch every day. I play 2 versions of the game. Kinda even 3 if you count my free-to-play account.
Get some help.
I figured, hey, it's an actual critique of the game from someone that I don't really know the opinions of. So yeah, let's just watch the whole thing. I haven't seen the video, but apparently somewhere in the video he requests people to wait at least 3 weeks after this video was out to do any kind of reaction to it. So I'm gonna trust that my chat was not lying to me, and I believe now it has been like 4 weeks or so. In fact, it does say here 4 weeks ago. So we're hopefully good, and hopefully Psyche is not gonna be mad if I post my reaction of this as well. If he wants it taken down, I understand. He probably put a lot of, effort into this video, so you can message me. You don't even have to do a YouTube takedown or anything like that. In fact, I would prefer if you didn't. So just message me in my Twitter, Discord. You can find me everywhere. So I will take it down if you want. It's your video. I respect that. And I will also be linking this video in the description everywhere, his channel. Go check it out for yourself as well. So I don't want to undermine his content. So here we are, ready to go. I recommend you guys to grab some drinks and snacks as well. That's what I did as well, because this is kind of a movie night. It's not really a movie. It's like a video essay review thingy, but, it's the length of a movie. It's nearly 2 hours long. Also, I'm going to be pausing a lot, probably. So my video is probably going to be even longer than this, okay? So I apologize in advance. If you hate, videos being interrupted and whatnot, that's probably going to happen a lot, because I want to comment on all kinds of stuff that he's going to be talking about, okay? So if you don't like that, then maybe just go watch the original video yourself. Anyway, cheers. Also, my snack of choice is an ice cream cone. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit longer though before I open it, because it's way too cold right now. Anyway, without further ado, I hope I remember to say everything I wanted to, and we can begin. Hopefully, I tried to check that audio levels were fine before this, but yeah, let's get right into it. Whoo! The Atrocious Gacha Review of Fate Grand Order by Psyche. Doesn't have subtitles, does it? Okay, it doesn't. I wouldn't subtitle a video this long either. Okay.
I have played Fate Grand Order every day for the past 2.5 years. And I have come to the conclusion...
I hate biting into ice cream!
Well, that sounds like a you problem. Yeah, let's rewind a bit.
2.5 years.
Okay.
And I have come to the conclusion, it's not that good.
Ooh.
I have a lot to say about this game. This volume of the Atrocious Gacha reviews will be much more personal to me, as I have a way longer playtime on this one than any of the previous entries I've reviewed. At the same time, FGO will also represent the largest audience of any gacha game I have covered so far.
Really?
So I really want to dive into
Does he only cover niche games otherwise?
Before I get into the actual review, I want to preface this by saying that FGO was my second ever gacha game, one after Genshin. I started during New Year of 2022 and have been diligently logging in every day from that point onwards. I play as a low
did he use
but
Constantine?
The game for 2 years, I don't have the majority of the SSRs in my roster. In fact, I don't even have 50% of it. This is due to the game's extremely stingy rates, but I'll go over that in due time.
Not fault. I'm sure there's going to be a big section for that.
Playstyle or team, and it's not feasible for me to ever reach that point as a low spender. I'm familiar with the Fate franchise, having watched Zero and Stay Night, so I know what the Holy Grail War refers to, I know about the most iconic characters, and I know what mana transfer means.
Okay. Okay.
In short, my relationship with the Fate franchise is pretty lukewarm. I wouldn't consider myself a dedicated Fate fan, but I'm familiar with it. I play on the North America servers, which is 2 years behind the Japanese one. This means I won't have all the hands-on experience for the content that is yet to be released.
So I wonder if he's going to talk about JP at all.
If you've been playing FGO for a long time, and when you saw the length of the video, I think you have a very good idea what I'll be talking about for the next hour and a half. I want to make it very clear that any of my critiques or opinions on the game is directed to the game and its developers, not to its community and content creators. Undoubtedly, there will be many longtime fans watching this video. In fact, you might be an FGO veteran or streamer reacting to this video right now. Well, if that's the case, you should thank me for the 2...
Okay, so here's where the disclaimer happens. Freaking COD, dude. Freaking COD. Oh, dude. COD in 4K. That is fun. 2 hours of free content. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, thank you for that. Okay, let's hear that again.
There will be many longtime fans watching this video. In fact, you might be an FGO veteran or streamer reacting to this video right now. Well, if that's the case, you should thank me for the 2 hours of free content that I just provided. And if you're going to upload the reaction video in full without any significant edits onto YouTube, then please wait until this video reaches 3 weeks.
Okay, so supposedly I can still upload it the way I was going to. Okay.
Then dislike the reaction video, unsubscribe from the channel immediately.
Damn, dude, did you see that? That's funny. I know he obviously made an edit of this, but look at this. It says FGO streamer 1.2 million subs. You're never gonna hit 1.2 million if you're covering FGO mainly. I wish that was the case. Also, hey, subscribe to my channel. I want to hit that 100k. We're so close. Come on, dude. 100k before the end of the year and I will cream. Also, subscribe to Psyche as well for making this funny video. At least so far funny.
Is not mad. Then dislike the reaction video, unsubscribe from the channel immediately, and also block the channel.
Damn.
Okay.
I feel like it would be easier not to do that and just take down the video, but okay.
Fans don't really have a good grasp of just how huge it is. During its peak, FGO had the highest number of entries at Comiket in Japan.
True.
And it's not even close between...
Now it's Blue Archive.
Though VTubers and Blue Archive seem to be dominating the list these days. It was more talked about than Fortnite and PUBG, and amassed hundreds of millions of dollars in the first 3 years of runtime. Fate is an absolute cultural phenomenon in Japan, so if there was a way to get the best of the franchise right at your fingertips, you bet a game like that is gonna garner a lot of attention. Unlike other IP-based gacha games, FGO actually expands on the lore of the series quite a lot, bringing in many new flavors to the franchise. For those that never played it, even now, FGO sits comfortably in the top 10 earners in terms of worldwide monthly revenue, which means it shouldn't be unfair to assume that the game is doing a lot of things right. Okay, so my expectations are sky high now. You are one of the best, right? I chose FGO because I heard the story was really good. In fact, this is my one weakness when it comes to choosing new gachas to play. For whatever reason, the gacha game industry is home to some of the best storytelling imaginable.
I wouldn't say best. I feel like he hasn't played that many amazing single-player games that have amazing story. But fair.
But I thought if I didn't focus on that, I just try to enjoy the story instead, there shouldn't be any problems. If you ask anyone what FGO is most known for, a lot of its emphasis is on the narrative and characters, primarily the design and
characters specifically.
So if you point at a piece of FGO artwork and say, that looks AI generated, that is one of the most...
I never realized. I guess it does look a little bit like that on Chikage and Hibiki.
Enjoying the story, I sure did, but I had no clue what I was walking into.
Oh, so he's read LB6. That's nice.
Doing a background check on the developers of the game I'm reviewing. FGO was developed by a small indie Japanese studio called Delightworks. It was later rebranded to Lasango, who was later acquired by Aniplex in 2022, who now manages both the JP and the NA servers. To my understanding, Delightworks was a relatively unknown company that was contracted to develop a Fate mobile game alongside one of the original series' primary writers, Kinoku Nas, who assisted with writing the prologue.
More like the primary writer.
Phonetically translates to mushroom eggplant. How this one company got the rights for the Fate IP, I have no idea. Nas, alongside Takashi as the illustrator, formed the visual novel company Type Moon, with their debuting visual novel.
And we get a history lesson at first. You know it's a video essay when it has all the history.
Released visual novel in 2004, with a follow-up sequel in 2005. I've never seen it myself, but it was immensely popular at the time.
Heresy! No, I'm not that strict about that, jokes aside.
Multiple forms of media.
I know some people are elitist about it, but I think it's fine.
They got some other works under their belt as well, but there's no denying that these two are industry veterans. They have influence regarding the direction of FGO narratively, with Nas taking the lead on writing the main story chapters. FGO was Delightworks' first major project, and I did some digging, but they're also the authors of 2 other games. In 2020, they also released a new gacha game called Sakura Kakume.
Oh yeah,
which is
they
based on the
did.
JRPG series
Didn't that go
Sakura
down
Wars.
fast?
Well, I'll probably cover this in more detail in a future video, but long story short, this game bombed hard.
Yeah.
Huge loss on revenue and investment. It was shut down after 6 months.
It doesn't have the
Looks
Fate
like the
IP
popularity of
carry.
The IP couldn't carry them this time. Guess the success of FGO must have gone to their head, and the terminated game is suspiciously missing on Lysengo's website.
Damn,
I know
they
what you
actually,
did, Delightworks.
wow.
You can't hide from me.
They don't even want to
In
associate
2021,
with
they
it,
also
really.
announced an untitled new game, presumably also gacha, but the teaser site and the trailer have been taken down quietly sometime in 2022. The URL to the site gives an error and the video is privated.
Wow.
Well, since no one said that I'm not allowed to show it, and since someone in the comments conveniently archived it, here is the trailer for that untitled game. It basically shows a scene rendered
I'm not
in
sure if I've
Unreal
ever seen
Engine
this.
4, which is what it was advertised for. Then the screen pans to some imagery depicting some cyberbullying themes, the camera pans to some horror elements, then a cut to the teaser.
Yeah,
scene.
I haven't seen this
No
actually.
title, no release date. As for the site, it's no longer accessible. But I wonder if... No,
Way
it can't
back
be that easy.
machine.
So we can't see what the background was anymore, but essentially the game was detailed as a new project for Delightworks using a new engine. There really isn't much to go on except for the teaser page, which is pretty bare bones.
Wait, when was
But we can
2019, huh?
confirm the DW and Unreal Engine logo at the bottom. Who knows? Maybe this project will resurface under Lysengo's authorship. Only time will tell. Overall, it's a company with few projects, but FGO's scale has expanded way beyond anyone's expectations. So,
Back to
let's
FGO.
finally talk about it.
Yeah.
FGO JP launched
7
in
minutes
August
in.
of 2015, and the NA
History
server
lessons
UI
continue,
in
though.
2017. Well, when it first launched, the game wasn't in the
Dude, the
prettiest
UI
shape.
was so
Obviously,
scuffed.
the game engine had 9 years to be polished at this point, so the NA side didn't experience much of the bugs. But to the uninitiated FGO player, you might be wondering, damn, the UI for the game kind of looks outdated. Yes.
I think that's a
Yes,
common
that's exactly
criticism, but I don't think it's that
Even
bad.
by 2015 standards, this didn't look too good. Pokemon Go released in the same year, and mobile game staples
Really?
like Clash of
I don't
Clans
think Pokemon
had
Go
already
looks
been
better.
released
Is
with
it because
more
it has
intuitive
3D
UI.
models? Are we
There's
gonna
a lot
go
of
there
general jank
immediately?
compared to other gacha games
I don't
in
think
terms
the
of
UI
today's
looks that
standards,
good.
But the UI will get its turn later in the video. The main thing to remember here is that the FGO project was not the most well thought out or the most well developed. It was originally created as a cash grab mobile game. The original launch had a risk of being shut
Oh
down
my
based
God,
on
the
number of
OG
bugs and
Excalibur.
optimization issues right then and there.
Look at
I
these
went
enemies.
back and took a look at the maintenance periods throughout the launch
Oh
in
god.
2015,
Dude, it's so
and you can see
laggy
just
as
how
well. It
often
was
the
like
game
2
went down.
FPS.
In fact, there was a running joke among the JP players at the time known as the legendary 18 minutes, where the game was
Oh.
available to play for a whopping third of an hour.
I didn't know
I think
about
Delightworks
this.
deserves a pat on the back for that one. During its first Halloween event, there was a limited quest that only lasted for 1 hour. Everyone tried to log in, which overloaded the servers. This flimsily put together game engine will be the crux of a lot of FGO's problems down the line.
Classic.
Let's keep this in mind going forward.
Oh man.
So since FGO often ranks in the top 10 and sometimes even top 5 of monthly gacha earners, it shouldn't be unreasonable to have high expectations for it, like in terms of production quality,
It's a
gameplay,
gacha
and
game,
update schedules.
but okay.
So in Flagrant Order, you play as the Master of Chaldea, a novice
Yes, sir.
rookie mage that happened to be at the right place at the right time, who is also canonically heavily implied as underage, despite what the doujins depict. Chaldea is part
I mean,
of
that's
a
the same with
research foundation
everything,
for
though.
Magecraft. In 2015, the institution predicted that humanity will reach extinction 2 years later. In order to find the cause of this anomaly, Chaldea has conducted ray shifts into previous eras.
Do you think they made it 2 years because they thought the game would be dead in 2 years? I never thought about that.
The foundations of humanity by
Oh,
recovering 7
interesting.
singularities formed by the omnipotent Holy Grails, the Master, alongside his or her Kohai, Mash Kyrielite, Da Vinci, who is a MILF in the Fate universe, Dr. Roman, Olga Mary, and Professor Lev. And you go on a grand mission to recover the Grails and delete these singularities, preventing humanity from extinction. Now, if I were to describe FGO's gameplay, it would look like an iceberg. On the surface, it looks deceptively simple, but there are so many hidden mechanics that the game
True.
doesn't tell you. At its absolute core, FGO features turn-based combat, where you will form a party of 3 servants, with 3 backline members that will replace the servants that perish on the front lines. Each servant is equipped with 3 skills that have cooldowns for a certain amount of specified turns. You will also select a friend support as one of the 6 options, but unlike in some other gachas, you have to select a support. Except for special cases, you cannot bring 6 of your own units into a level. The units you bring can also be equipped with an artifact item called Craft Essence, often abbreviated as CE. The rarity of the unit and CE contribute to the total cost of the party, with the higher rarities costing more. Even if you reach the higher player levels, you cannot bring a full party of 5-star units or CEs, so you do have to at least use a few units of lesser rarities, or just give up a slot entirely. Luckily,
or just bring Mashu.
What I like about FGO is that some of the low rarity units are actually pretty good, and a couple I still run in the late game. The
Yo, Ushi enjoyer?
2 supports and 1 DPS on field, but this is not a hard requirement and you can basically run whatever. The backline members exist to replace downed servants, and the last slot, usually referred to as an anchor, is used by a strong
Damn, he knows the terms.
great survivability to close.
Oh, that card order was bad though, not that it really mattered.
Each servant has 5 cards in a deck, and it consists of 3 card types. They will have access to their Noble Phantasm, so when the NP...
Dude, this could be like a new player tutorial at the same time. Not just a review of the game. It gives you the fundamentals.
Also referred to as a face card, can also crit, depending on the number of stars currency you have. 1 star equates to 10%.
I mean, so far, even though obviously I understand all of this, so it's easy for me to like take it in, but even if you didn't know how the game works, I think he's explaining it in a pretty good way.
Damage generates a small amount of stars and does not.
He doesn't list all the, because there's so much more to face cards and card types than this, but he's not like overloading with information.
Little to no stars, and Quick, the weakest card type in terms of.
But it's like all the important bits summarized, basically.
Increases the NP gauge by a little. Each servant has a slightly different deck, so the 3 card types can be distributed a bit differently. During a turn, the game will select 5 cards at random, and you will choose 3 to use. Since there are 3 servants totaling 15 cards, they will cycle through every 3 turns, assuming you don't specifically use a deck shuffle effect.
Or unless someone dies, it resets as well.
Depending on which ones you picked. The first card, often referred to as the lead card, will determine the effects of the subsequent 2. Buster will slightly increase the damage, Arts will slightly...
This is also not even that true anymore now that we have Mighty Chains. Was this made before, actually, Mighty Chains on an A? I don't know. I'm guessing he was working on this video for a long time, so I don't know. It came out after, but yeah, I don't... Who knows?
Something called the Buster Chain. If all 3 are Arts, then any servant cards associated in the chain will gain 20% MP gauge while increasing the gain itself, and if all 3 are Quick, then 20 stars are instantly generated, and all cards will get a
that is new, that is new.
Crit chance. If the chain contains
he's at 20.
then you will get a small
it used to be
bonus
10.
3, through something called the QAB chain or the Mighty Chain. If the chain
he's talking about it.
From a single servant, they will perform an additional 4th attack at the end called a Brave Chain. It's worth noting that you can combine a Brave Chain with the other types, so you can do Buster Brave Chains, Arts Brave Chains, and onwards. It's also worth noting that even if a servant does not have 3 of the same card type in their deck, if their NP card can make up for the missing one, they can still perform.
Oh my god, old Ushi animations.
Each NP can either deal damage or grant buffs or debuffs. There is also a unique overcharge ability for each. While the NP itself is usable at 100%, if you pull additional copies of the character, you can charge it to 200 or even 300. Overcharge level goes up to 5, and if the MP is used at 200% gauge, it will have a level 2.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up posting this as well, Bento, yeah.
Overcharge NP very often, but another type of attack chain is something called the NP chain, where if you place an NP right after another, then the subsequent one will increase 1 overcharge level. You can even chain 3 in a row, but if you split up the 2 NP cards like this, then it will not count as an NP chain, and no overcharge will happen. You can freely target an enemy before an attack is initiated.
I feel like he didn't really have to go this in depth, but okay, let's be real. Anyone watching this video is probably already an FGO player. It has a lot of views, but I'm guessing at least 95% of the viewers are actually either active FGO players or former players that know all this, but yeah, I get it, you know, I get it.
If you use an MP card or use another servant's face cards. So for example, if I use the Brave Chain here, then the servant would just keep hammering on the same enemy. But if I put their NP card in the middle, then the first attack kills the rightmost enemy. So since the NP counts as a different card type, then the third one and the extra attack will finish off the last on the left. The thing is,
Wow,
the game
the
doesn't
resets,
tell
he
you
knows
this.
about that
It's just
too.
something that you have to figure out for yourself. There is also a class system with damage advantages, where a class will deal double damage and only take half damage to another. So for example, Sabers have advantage over Lancers, who beats Archers, who beats Sabers. The same
Missed
Oh,
a
Bento.
month of streak, but that's okay, we still going.
Hey, thank you for 44, man. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Thank you so much.
loop exists for the three classes of Riders, Casters, and Assassins, and Berserkers dealing 1.5 times damage to all other classes while dealing double damage from them. Rulers deal neutral
Oh, I
damage
guess, yeah,
to
if he does a
all
lot of these
aforementioned
videos for like
classes and
all
only
kinds of
take
gacha games, and he
0.5
always
times
does this,
damage
then
back from
yeah,
them,
maybe
except
his
Berserkers
audience
will
in
also have
particular
full class advantage
doesn't really
towards
know the games that
Moon
well.
Who beats Avengers, who beats Rulers. Foreigners have full class advantage towards Berserkers, meaning this is the only class where Berserkers will deal half damage too. Foreigners also deal and take double damage from other foreigners, and also have class advantage towards Pretenders. Now, Pretenders have
Didn't
half
mention
class
Draco,
advantage
by the
towards
way,
Knight
on the
classes,
Berserker
or
thing.
Sabers, Archers, and Lancers, where they deal 1.5 times damage towards them, but only dealing half damage for the cavalry classes of Riders, Casters, and Assassins. But all of these classes will deal
did he?
damage back. And the
Oh, was it the
Pretenders also
text that
have
was
full class
really
advantage
fast there? I
towards
didn't catch it, it was so
Ultra. And these
fast.
guys are
Oh,
the other way
okay.
around.
I was
They
just
deal
looking at the
1.5
icons.
times damage to the cavalry classes, but half to the knight classes, and they loop right back to having full advantage towards foreigners. There's also the elusive Shielder class, who takes and deals complete neutral damage to all classes. But there's only one Shielder in the entire game, and that is your Eggplant Kohai. It's basically a very elaborate game of rock, paper, scissors. That being said, since I've got a sizable
Wait,
amount
is that
of
Brown
gacha games under my belt
Dust?
at this point, FGO's class system is the most extreme I've seen. Usually a class
just
or
played
element
that
will deal a bit
yesterday.
more extra damage to another, but dealing double damage while only taking half damage from an enemy is kind of a big deal.
It is. Class
Even if a servant
advantage
does
is
special damage
huge.
towards an enemy with a specific trait, why not just bring someone with full class advantage?
Exactly.
Each servant also has a set of passive abilities, which are usually just small bonuses here and there, but some of the recent ones can get pretty creative. For each battle, you are also equipped with something called a Mystic Code, essentially just an outfit.
Oh, he
that
also has
gives
one of these
three
videos
master
for
skills
Brown
you
Dust,
to
that's
use.
funny.
These can range from anything from healing a servant, switching the order of a backline member, or shuffling your deck. On the upper right corner, you can also carry up to 3 command spells. You can use them to heal a servant back to full, fill the MP gauge, or using all 3, literally bring your entire party back to life and fill their MP gauges. One is refreshed every day at server reset, though the 9th anniversary will refresh all 3 per day on JP.
Yo, you can tell he...
Hero has
Yo,
this
that's funny.
ability
I was about to say, they did a recent change in JP. You can tell he was already done with this video by that point, and then you can listen to his microphone. You can tell that line was recorded on a different day. He added that afterwards. Listen to this.
And fill their the MP gauge, or using all 3, literally bring your entire party back to life and fill their MP gauges. One is refreshed every day at server reset, though the 9th anniversary will refresh all 3 per day.
I know how that goes. I don't blame him. Obviously, that's fine. I do that a lot too. Yeah, if something is changed, you gotta go back to the video and then record a new line so it sounds a bit different as well.
Representing a big part of its cultural significance and popularity.
Even if you use the same guy with the same mic, it's gonna sound different though. That's the funny part.
First couple singularities. To put it plainly, the first 5 chapters of the story, how do I describe it? Oh yeah, not so good.
Yeah, I
Because
think
the
that's
game
a fairly
was
common
originally
take.
created as a cash grab, the story was pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
Orleans was really just a fan service for John, one of the most popular Fate characters, and Septum was really just fan service for Nero Claudius, who has turned into a waifu in this universe. When they adapted FGO into anime,
What do you mean this
they only
universe?
adapted the prologue
She was like
and
that since
Singularity
Extra.
6, 7, and the finale. The story battles were not very creative either, and the difficulty is pretty much a joke. That is, until you actually get to the good part, and realize that despite all the game's shortcomings, the game was doing well. In an effort to increase
Oh,
player
you mean
interest,
compared to
they
real
thought,
life? Okay, I thought it was FGO.
people are actually playing this. Maybe we should actually write some good stories. The Camelot arc was the first to receive proper care from writers, with Nas coming back as the primary creative director. There was an infamous difficulty spike where this guy with the power of the sun stopped you right in your tracks.
Dude,
Now, I
the
often
rite
prefer
of
games with a more
passage.
gradual slope for difficulty, but as I mentioned in the Path to Nowhere review, I understand that some players actually like sudden difficulty spikes like this one, where it forces you to approach the game differently, and you can't just solve anything.
I think it's
with your
good for the
broken
game
friends.
as well.
Anyways, Camelot represented a major turning point in FGO's development. Alongside the next singularity, Babylonia, the game was able to reach the apex of its popularity
Peak of
in the
part 1, fight
2016
me.
and 2017 period.
It's good.
The world genuinely felt alive, and the characters were fleshed out. The fights were no longer huge enemies with inflated health bars, and some bosses have some pretty interesting gimmicks. For the time, I didn't regret my decision to start this game at all. I mean, the story was scattered in bite-sized pieces, so I didn't have to commit too long when I was commuting to university at the time. I mean, the full party revives with the command spells makes it so that even if you don't care about pulling for meta units, you can still enjoy the
I
story
still have
despite
mixed
the
feelings about the command seal revive
After
thingy.
Babylonia, it was
It's
time
good
for
because it
me
makes
to
the game
round up
easier
new
for
story
casuals,
chapters.
but
The
it's just
Solomon raid
it's
of
like basically a
2016
free
was
win button.
arguably FGO at its peak. All masters were tasked with bringing
I wouldn't
down
say
the
Solomon
six
is peak. It was
demon
great,
killers
but I
in
still
order
like
to access the
Babylonia
final
more
boss and
overall.
finish the story. It was an exciting era, and there was no better time to be playing FGO. In the final boss encounter, possibly one of the hardest for its time.
Does he actually
was
have
truly
clips of when
challenging
he
and
played
deserving of
these
the
ages
fight.
ago? Because I think that was Regan with old animations as well.
Anyways, after the main arc concluded, there were also 4 filler chapters. These are just whatever. I like some of them, but ultimately these chapters are optional. And so, Arc 2 of the main story, known as Cosmos in the Lost Belt, where you're tasked with, again, solving 7 singularities where a tree of emptiness is corrupting that timeline. Teaming up with
Yeah, he
Nash,
blurred out
Sherlock
Git,
Holmes,
yeah.
which
Big
I'm not
spoiler.
Sure how FGO got the license to use that name, since Ace Attorney had to change it to Sherlock Sholmes. Gordoff, the pompous new director, and also Da Vinci, who has turned into a lolly. Arc 2 is still ongoing to this day, even on the JP
Wow,
service 7 years
spoilers.
later. I think a lot of the aspects of storytelling and gameplay have improved in the second arc. The bosses have the break bar mechanic, where you can only deplete a maximum of 1 bar per turn, so you can't just stack every possible buff in existence and blow away the boss in a single turn. The designs are more intricate, where there's some encounters where you're actually up against another master.
Oh, he's
I know
using
the events are
John.
scripted and
Wow.
it's really just sprites moving across the screen, but all these small touches really makes it feel like you're battling in the Fate universe. I think what something Arc 2 does really well is really encapsulating the feeling of hopelessness. You barely escape from Chaldea, you're in a foreign snowy region, and you don't know how close
Lost
or how
Belt
many
is
enemies
nice
are.
because it
One moment you're up
immediately
against
got
the ruler of
serious.
China from the Qin
Like the
dynasty, then you're
prologue
trying to
was
take down
already
the
crazy,
Olympian
right?
gods. There are
Like, they were
animated
not messing
cutscenes
around
now, and
anymore.
Some of the Lost Belts, especially the later ones, are genuinely very well written. Lost Belt 6
Yeah.
represents such a bombshell that if someone
my
argued it
God.
was the best story arc in a gacha game ever,
It
I
is.
would not even contest it.
Based.
On the JP side, these 7 Lost
Based.
Belts have ended, but there was a new sub-arc called Ordeal Call that continues part 2. The basic takeaway is that FGO has some of the strongest story writing in gacha gaming, especially getting into the later chapters. It is very good. The only thing is that if you are interested in diving into the lore, there's no skip function to go straight to the Lost Belts. You have to slog through the early chapters first.
That is a bit
We'll
tough,
talk
yeah.
about that later. But for now, let's start the critique. Strap in, this is a long one.
Starting the
For
critique,
the
22
remainder of the
minutes
video,
in.
I'll
Alright, let's
include
go.
the usual below, within, or above.
Oh, he has like a
expectations
metric. Oh,
for
wow.
each section, starting
Alright.
with progression.
Alright,
I
let's
will
see.
critique FGO with the exact same metrics as any other gacha games I have reviewed. I do not care about any limitations with FGO's shoddy engine. If a common feature
wow.
is not available based on 2024 standards, then I will simply say that it's missing that feature and that it's not up to my
I
standards.
feel like FGO is going to have a
It's
lot of
up to
those
a
quote-unquote
Sega or
missing
Enterprise
things
to address
compared
the
to a lot of
problems
other
that the game may
games.
have. I feel the need to clarify this because I know people will say that some of FGO's problems can
I
be
wonder if he's going to say
excused
story
since the game
skip is,
engine
or
is so
MP skip are one
I
of them.
personally disagree.
Or
Since
auto
Aniplex
battle.
makes so much money from this game, it should be a reasonable assumption that they do have the budget and the capability.
Those
of
are usually the
addressing some of
common
them. And it
criticisms.
would be unfair to make an exception to FGO when the same standards were held to all the other games I've reviewed.
He gave Brown
The gameplay
Dust
may be
today.
from another
Wow.
era, meaning the core loop cannot be changed, and that is fine. I actually think in terms of the UI
It's interesting he puts the
aesthetics,
score
it's
on the
all old
thumbnail.
school and unique.
I would recommend him
FGO
to
is a
not do
turn-based
that,
visual novel style
unless it's like
gacha,
1 out
and
of
it
10, then
should
everyone's
stay
gonna
that
click that.
There's a reason
Or
I don't
10,
judge
1 or
the
10 is when
gameplay
people
in my
click,
reviews.
because
I
otherwise
can't
I feel like
simply
people
say
are not
that
gonna care
open
too much
world
about the
game is better
video.
than a visual novel.
He probably doesn't want
That's
my
what we're
thumbnail
comparing
tips,
apples and
but I
oranges.
would not put the
No
score
one
on the
wants to
thumbnail.
fundamentally change FGO into an open world or shooter game. When someone compares one of FGO's features to another game, what you need to understand is that they're not comparing the premise and genre.
I'll
of
pause
them.
sometimes
They
when
are
I have more
comparing the
stuff to
quality and
say.
standard when it comes to handling that feature, of what they, including myself, believe should be reasonable expectations. For example, developer feedback. How often does the development team respond to players and
The
improve
never.
upon what's there? Doesn't matter what genre of game it is, developer responsiveness
We
is
got one
universally
response
important
this year
for
because of the
building goodwill and
coins.
trust with the player base. How about a crossplay
Before
feature?
that, mod
Players
check.
should be able to seamlessly carry their progress to another device and continue playing from there. Doesn't matter what genre of game it is. Crossplay is a standard modern feature in these mobile games. Not having it doesn't make FGO have its own unique identity. It makes it an inferior product.
I can't disagree with that. Yeah, that's fair. I wish they communicated more. Or did stuff with community creators as well. Come on. Still to this day, nothing. Except like the biggest VTubers, which is lame as fuck.
Progression in FGO. Let's talk about it.
Alright.
Using the time-gated currency called AP, you can use it to clear certain levels to gain certain upgrade
I actually
materials
forgot
for
action
the
points
story.
was
But
AP.
should note it's one of those games where everything requires it.
Damn.
If you run out, you actually just can't do anything. Luckily, the game is quite generous with these apples that restore.
Yeah, honestly, the
but if you're a
stamina system
veteran,
is
you'll know to
great
save
in
up
FGO in
these
my
apples to
opinion.
farm certain events
You
that
can
have
play the
better
game a
upgrades.
lot.
All servants can be ascended 4 times, and their default level cap depends
It's like
on
way
the
better
servant.
compared to like Hoyo
1 star
games where
have
it's
a
really
cap of level
stingy.
60, 2
Really
stars
stingy.
at 65, 3 stars at 70, 4 stars at 80, and 5 stars at 90. This
Yeah.
means low rarity units get shafted pretty hard here, since their stats are going to be gimped.
That
The
is
majority
also
of the
true,
low
but
rarities
that's
considered
what
good are
most
either
gacha
ones that
games
give
do as
supporter
well.
buffs, taunters, or just kill themselves off so a better unit can take their place. For
Oh,
3
he
of
knows the
ascensions, you
esports
also unlock
strats.
a new appearance for the servants' in-game sprites. And again, you can see that low rarities get gimped here since most of them just add an
Shout out to
extra
the
bar
10
called
foes on
Probing
Caligula.
SSOs
Wait, the
change their
Lady
sprites.
Yellow is not even fully foed.
Leveling servants uses
Uh-oh.
an item called Ember. which
Oh,
is
dude, none of
farmable
his
by
servants
one of
5
the
stars are
daily
fold
nodes.
fully.
Except unlike a common currency like any other gacha game, Embers physically take up a slot in your inventory. While this is usually not an issue most of the time, it's just a hassle.
No one is max fold, bruh.
Since all other gachas I've played just have leveling materials as a currency. Speaking of which, FGO does have QP as its common gold currency for pretty much any types of upgrades.
Yeah.
This is again farmed via one of the daily nodes.
Honestly, QP is kind of easy to
Numerous
come
other
by as
upgrade
well.
Materials are either farmed via a free quest in the game world or purchased from the shop, usually during events. Most will argue that it's best to hold out until an event sells them, since it's typically not so
He didn't
AP
even level
efficient
his
if you do farm it
Scotty.
manually and drop
I feel
by
like he's
not
a very
getting paid,
casual
so
player
you
for
can
sure,
literally
yeah.
run through the level multiple times just to get nothing. There is a separate type of upgrade cards called faux pas, which you can feed to a servant to
Yeah,
permanently
you
raise
should, because
their
clearly you
stats.
don't with your
You can feed
servants.
up
I
to
saw the
1,000 points of
numbers.
faux pas for
Well, there's
HP
one
and
at
attack
least.
respectively. You can raise it for another 1,000 with gold faux pas, which is given out a bit more infrequently. When leveling skills, the cooldown of the skill is decreased by 1 turn whenever the skill hits level 6 and 10, which
Yep.
is the maximum. And I don't believe there has been an exception to this rule. Craft essences
Oh yeah, he
can
called
also
them
be
faux
leveled and
pas,
limited.
right?
Lower rarities
True.
having a
Faux
lower
pas
cap
are
than the
different.
higher
These are
ones.
just normal
These
faux
can give
cards.
Either HP or attack
True,
or
that's a
combination
little
of both.
mistake
You can
there.
level them by using other CEs or specific XP.
Different mechanic.
If you pull multiple copies of a unit, you can upgrade their NP level, which increases the damage, assuming that it actually does damage, where the
Okay, I don't know what he's gonna comment on this yet, but honestly, I think MP levels at FGO, I think it's a pretty good way to do duplicates of servants. I don't. We're probably gonna hear his take as well in a second, but I think, for instance, in Hoyo games, it's a bit rough because a lot of characters only become really good once they reach a certain dupe thing that unlocks. Like, it's not just numbers being increased. Some of them do increase numbers, but some of them are like fully gating like mechanics of characters behind those extra copies, and without them they might not be as good or completely cannot do like a specific team comp or something. So I still think MP levels in FGO, they're pretty good because they only increase the numbers, right? Now, that's not to talk about coins, though. I still think coins are kind of flawed. And the fact that you need an MP6 SSR to get a 120 with all the pens is messed up. That's a different topic. But just MP levels, going up to 5 copies like this, increasing numbers, I think this is fun at least.
potency of any buffs or debuffs. The MP level can go up to a maximum of 5, but the biggest change will be from MP level 1 to 2, which grants the most amount of damage increase, while the later ones slowly give diminishing returns. MP levels will also increase the default overcharge limit so that you can raise your MP gauge.
The
above
overcharge thing is
100%.
not that big,
Since
honestly.
Some low rarities are pretty good too, you can basically just imagine this as a freebie. Each of a servant's 5 cards can also be equipped with a command code. They are essentially small boosts whenever that card is used, like generating stars or NP, afflicting a status effect, and so on. Command codes can be obtained via clearing certain event quests, some of them pulled on the friend point gacha too. Most of the time, these are small upgrades to your characters, but there are a couple units that can benefit a lot from these, such as Robin Hood, who deals more damage to targets afflicted with poison. A servant's command card can be strengthened by using an item called Beast's Footprint. You can get one
Wait,
of these every 7
so
days
he calls
to
them
unlock it.
beast
I mostly
footprints
forget that
and
this
you,
even exists,
normal
but
foes
in
are
case a
faux
certain card
paws?
is used by that unit a lot,
I
you
guess
can
that's
put
what the
upgrades
English
to this.
version of the game probably
You can
officially
increase the max
calls them,
level count
but
of a
they're
servant
faux
to
paws, dude.
100 using
We
a
have
holy
foes
grail,
and we have
which
faux
increases
paws.
by 5 levels when
Okay,
used before
fair
level
enough.
90 and 2 levels after that. You can level to the absolute maximum of level.
Wait, does he have a 120 Melusin? Is he like, is he one of those guys?
And another currency called servant coins belonging to that
Not
respective
judging,
servant.
but it's a fairly
Now, here's a
common
new
one.
type of upgrade that not everyone
Oh, Sleepy with the 29
Can
months.
sit in for a cry fair, Ebtor.
Hey, dude, thank you so much, and welcome back to the Go Gig.
was pleased with. With the introduction of servant coins, you
Oh,
can also
does he
unlock
have footage
something
from
called
other
advanced
accounts as well? Oh.
essentially just 3 new passive
Okay,
abilities to
that
enhance
explains
them
a lot
even
then.
more. Like starting each encounter with their MP gauge partially filled. These can be leveled.
Oh,
to
is he,
10,
did he
same as
say
normal
he's gonna talk about the
except
new
you get
appends and
servant
coins and
by
whatnot
increasing
later?
your bond level or by
Uh-oh.
pulling additional copies.
That's gonna
As
be a
it currently stands,
shitstorm.
You actually can't get enough coins to unlock everything.
Damn, the skip
unless you pull
rolls, though.
additional copies above the maximum amount of MP levels for 4 and 5 stars. This wasn't a very popular move
bro, what are you doing? You're gonna show gacha and you're not even gonna show what you got? This is what is this? Look at this. It stops right before the card reveals who it is. Brother, man, that's you're gonna get some dislikes from that, bro. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You see, you need to show the results.
Do it by any means, but you'll have to live with the fact that what used to be the theoretical maximum now has its bar raised, and your beloved level 100 servant is no longer performing at their absolute.
Yeah, this definitely still
Lastly,
divides
there are
opinions.
bond levels, which functionally doesn't change much gameplay-wise, but unlocks new voice lines in the menu. At bond level 10, you get a unique bond CE for that servant, but this is widely debated as a questionable mechanic, since the stats on that CE is fixed and gimped to provide
Yeah,
less
they
bonuses
suck.
than a normal CE. The majority of them are not used, but there are some that are pretty good. An
Exactly.
easy solution is to just add the effects of the CE as an additional passive ability.
That's one of
But
my
that would actually
suggested
require
fixes as well, actually. Do that,
Increase
please.
the bond past level 10, but doing so requires a Lantern of Chaldea, which is given out rather infrequently. These are the ways you can beef up servants. When you complete daily quests and through other means, you get a currency called Mana Prisms, which can be spent in the monthly shop rotation for resources. When you pull an additional copy of a servant that is max limit broken, that is also a 4 or 5 star, you get units of Rare Prism. Normally, free-to-plays won't get a lot of these, but they occasionally give a few during events and campaigns. You can also set a friend
And just
support
wait until the
for other
audio call
players to use
update.
with their own CEs. When someone uses your servants, you get friend points or FP, which can be used to pull on the FP gacha. We will go over that in due time though.
Except
Now,
that FP
progression
is
at
like
FGO can be a bit
absolutely
weak. If we
insignificant.
exclude the daily farming nodes for Embers or QP,
Even for whales,
the
to be
ideal way
honest.
gain these resources efficiently is by just waiting for specific events that have better drop rates, such as raids or lotto events.
Yeah, they're called Lanterns
Now,
of
this is
Chaldea.
fine, except this
Bond
game
grails.
is primordial and there's no quick farm or sweep function. You could painstakingly do each level.
He's already talking about
way, but
farming.
there
Oh,
is a
shit.
better method. From community efforts, you can do something called 3-turn farming, where if you have a compatible damage dealer and a meta support, and if you bring another meta support from your front list, the idea is that since buffs
Level
last 3 turns,
70.
and there are usually 3 waves of enemies,
Why?
if there's a way to use a damage dealing NP every turn for 3 turns, you could beat the level with minimum effort
True,
and
Will.
clear time. As of now, there are multiple ways to achieve this, with each of the 3 card types, though quick is a little bit scuffed. You'll have to wait until one of these meta supports go on raid up, but getting one of them can make your life significantly
Oh
easier.
my god, he skips
Even with
into
return farming,
Oberon.
because
Salt.
you're generally going to use your AP apples for these events, it's still going to take quite a while to tap away and use up all of it. And you technically don't have to do this, but
My guy
because
undermined
the
my
value
whole
of these raids
career.
and lot of events are so huge, This is what the community would generally advise you to do for
lotteries, yes.
Since
I'm glad he
anime is 2
mentioned them.
years behind JP, you can literally predict which events will come out at roughly what time and prepare for them.
Yep.
Progression is the least of FGO's concerns. I know there's some quality of life features missing.
Yeah, honestly, maxing out servants is so easy in FGO compared to some other games. If you know a servant with 1k foes, max level, max skill, is so easy.
In terms of
It's like so
progression
easy.
alone, I think it's fine. But the idea for waiting for specific events to progress faster is admittedly quite unique in the gacha space.
I don't think
But
it's
I do think
bad
it's
though,
deserving
because
of
the
a
normal
fail.
progression is fine as is.
So that last portion you just heard there was the original version of the script.
Uh-oh.
However, now that the 9th
Oh, here we go.
announcements have
Uh-oh.
come out, an egregious thing they did was adding 2 new append skills. One that increases the crit damage, and another that literally reduces the cooldown of a unit's skills for 1 time. This is actually kind of a big deal.
It
For my
is.
2 years of playing, I never really gave it that much thought, since 1 copy of an SSR is enough to unlock 1 append skill, and typically it wouldn't be that big of a bonus anyways, and I was willing to give it a pass. Now though, this has changed. If we assume that no changes are made to the servant coin system, this makes it so that if you want to max out a servant, you literally have to pull multiple copies of them to do so. I understand there's usually a way for players to limit break units in a gacha game for more power, but this is too much. Not only are the limit breaks more desirable than
Okay,
before,
in defense, okay, I still think it's too much because you need more than the max MP level. In that sense, it's too much. But I mean, the appends are still nothing in compared to like Hoyo locked stuff. Let's be real. Again, to go briefly, they just lock in so many amazing things that fully can change a character in those copies. It's only too much because you need more than MP5. That's the only reason why it's too much in FGO. I think the appends can be good, but they're not that good. They're not that good. They're good, but not like insanely broken good. So only because you need more than MP5, assuming you're also going for higher than level 100. So only because of that.
you have to spend more resources and time grinding away at it. I will touch on the 9th anniversary announcements again near the end of the video. I was originally going to bump down the rating, but given they were able to respond to the situation by allowing you to transfer an append skill in place of another, it's at least something. I don't know if any changes will come to the servant coin system. It hasn't done so for the past 2 years. I'll stick with the original rating.
So wait, is this before all the announcements came? Where does he know we get more coins now too?
Here we go.
Anyway, oh, gacha time! Ain't no way.
For its brutal gacha system.
Also that animation though.
Players will nod their heads and agree, saying, "Yeah, we know, it's hell."
Yeah.
But just how bad is it? Well, aside from the friend point gacha, where 1 and 2
Dude,
stars
he's gonna rip the pity system.
The almost iconic 1% 5-star drop chance, and a 3% for 4 stars. You roll using the gacha currency Saint Quartz, and each pull costs 3 units, with a free pull for every 10th time you roll on it. See, at its launch, if you looked at the cash shop to buy quartz with real money, it actually gave you a lesser amount versus what we have now. Even as of current time, this quartz top-up shop is the only place you can spend money on the game. There's no daily deals or flash sales that make
That's
sense.
actually surprising.
This is also the only gacha game reviewed so far that does not have a 30-day welcome or battle pass.
Yeah,
system.
we were talking about that earlier. FGO still doesn't have a battle pass.
Incompetence for not knowing how to monetize their game. What lies is a fact that if you do spend money on the game, you have to do it here. In other words, you know exactly what you're doing. As for the SSR rate up, there is a 0.8% chance to drop, or 80% of the 1% overall chance.
Yeah.
But this actually used to be only 0.7% in
Yeah.
the past. And
Lee
the
disaster,
11
by the way.
didn't exist. For the rate up SR, there is a 1.5% or 50-50 coin flip of it being the rate up, but this has increased to 2.1% as of the 7th anniversary. After 330 pulls, if you still have not received the rate up SSR,
330?
if you're wondering why it's 330, that's due to the 11th free pull after 30 multis, or the equivalence of 900 SQ. What's more, the pity is disabled when you pull the first copy of the rate up, and it does not carry over to the next.
Well, nowadays you can get
I'm
multiple
just gonna
times,
straight
but
out
it
say,
still sucks.
This is a laughable excuse of a pity system.
It is.
Okay, so this is a last-minute addition, but as of the announcements of the
here we
9th
go.
anniversary, the pity system still doesn't carry over across banners, but it's no longer disabled after 1 trigger. It's still 900 quartz for the limit, so baby steps, am I right?
Not
See,
even
there's a popular
baby
saying
steps,
in
that's like
physics,
nothing.
You don't choose the servant chooses you. A couple years ago, this pity system actually didn't even exist. If you are not able to pull the rate up, then you better keep trying until you do.
Yeah.
Not only that, it was common for a rate up banner to feature multiple 4-star characters, and the rate up would rotate on a daily basis or every 2 days. Players would roll on the banner when their desired 4-star was on
Funnily
rate up.
enough, I still think FGO is the least predatory gacha I've played.
It depends on how you view it. In terms of like shoving shit in your face to buy, yes, it's very friendly with that. It never puts anything in your face. It never screams you to buy stuff, because the only one to buy is like in the shop. But I mean, it's gonna be tempting to buy stuff when you run out of course, though. But in that sense, yeah. But in other ways, yeah. So at least it doesn't really, you know, shove it down your throat. It's like pack, deal, discount, battle pass, daily spids, you know, everything, you know. So it's just like, it's a little bit. Okay.
Since the chance to pull it is 1.5%, half of the 3%. But when the pity was introduced, banners now...
Honestly, I kind of wish FGO had skins. I'd gladly pay for them.
Servants, meaning the individual rates to pull either is now split even more. I look at the many forums where players weren't able to pull one copy of the
Dude, I love those salt compilations. They were so good.
An obscene amount of money. And I just thought to myself, this is literally just a PNG file. You're spending hundreds of dollars.
Oh, he doesn't know.
Now, I've seen some pretty brain-dead takes on this matter, saying that FGO's rates are fair and generous. You know what I say?
Has anyone ever said that?
Bullshit.
I've never seen anyone say that, but okay.
Gets disabled after one use and requires 300 pulls to
I've
activate.
never seen anyone say that, seriously.
Is this really acceptable in 2024?
No.
EK has the Spark system where you can hang on to these mileage tickets for as many and for as long as you want, traded for 200 per rate-up character. Limbus Company's top-up packs are so generous that the $1 pack can buy you 10 daily pulls with the first top-up bonus. In Reverse 1999, after an SSR goes on an initial banner for 3 patches, they're added to the permanent pool. So Tooth Fairy released in 1.2 will be able to split
I feel like I wish more gacha games did, like more permanence.
Set of standards when it comes to how a gacha system is handled. There's a reason FGO is the butt of every joke when it comes to this. Well, the rates are bad, but at least it's not as bad as FGO. Chords count better read 900, or else you ain't guaranteeing anything.
Yeah.
Despite all of this, FGO has one of the most dedicated and committed fan bases I've seen. During its peak in 2017-ish, FGO was leading the top charts in terms of revenue. So even without a pity system, watching people throwing away their money at this game is unimaginable.
You gotta get your 5 different Saba faces.
Literally tells you to stop.
Yo, I remember this. Holy, blast from the past.
Is time to stop. This is when gacha games were relatively underground, but while you hear about the rise of loot boxes or grinding battle passes, FGO went completely under the radar by major Western news outlets. Despite this, this game has insane retention of its existing player base. Like a sad case of
because of sunk cost fallacy.
There's a sizable section of players that no matter how poorly the game treats them, they will keep playing. And they will keep coming back like cockroaches. I've seen players announce that they will save up for the next 2 years, then go all in on one servant that they saw on the Japanese servers. That is true dedication. It should be made clear that not getting what you want after diligently saving up for months feels absolutely disheartening. It feels like the game is
Yet we still come back and keep doing it.
In today's gacha scene, a pity is the one trump card that you have as a player.
Oh my god, Nikkei is so
It's the safety net to catch
shameless.
you in case you get screwed by bad RNG. And in my opinion, is considered a standard to have. I've stated this in a previous video, but if a gacha game I review does not have a pity system, then it's an instant failing grade for this section. The pity is the light at the end of the tunnel.
I mean, we already knew this was going to be failing before I did everything.
See the finishing line in distance, because if it doesn't exist, then aren't you just gambling? I know reaching 330 pulls without the rate up is unlikely, but the chance of it is not 0. I know this because it's actually happened to me once. It's like a constant sense of anxiety that you know that you can throw hundreds, if not thousands of dollars at the game, and it will refuse you.
Yeah, it's an FGO review, True Night.
It has happened before, and it will keep happening. To give you what you want. It has.
Yo, it's the overall finale. Oh my god. Ain't no way though. I bet someone, when he was making this video, I bet someone told him about this. Dude, I'm contributing to making FGO Gacha look way worse. I mean, I'm okay with it though, because it sucks. But it's pretty funny though. Definitely made it look way worse. Okay, shout outs. Sub to this guy, by the way.
It's happened before, and it will keep happening. Going back and looking at some of the forums years back really makes me want to ask, but damn, are you okay?
No.
But then again, before I start
None
pointing
of us
fingers
are.
at people accusing them of having gambling problems, part of the blame does lie with you. You kind of chose to buy into this system, so in a way,
Not wrong.
if you believe this game isn't respecting your time and money, yet you keep playing it, that's on you. If I catch you topping up the most expensive quartz pack and you're rolling without a pity system, then I'm still gonna go, damn, you just gambled away 80 bucks.
I
When I saw my
did,
save
I
quartz count go
did.
from 1400 to 500, I thought to myself, what if something like this happens again? What if I save up to, let's say, 800 quartz, go for my next target, and then they just don't show up? How would I feel about the hundreds of resources that I piled up? How would I feel about the billions of QP that I have?
This
and
is so
nowhere to spend it?
personal, dude.
It's not the same as having a mileage system where the pity is retained. If you want to maximize the chances of your desired targets, you can't even try to dip into other banners. I also want to talk about the
I knew the gacha
exclusivity
section
of
was
some
gonna be
servers.
bad, but
The
yeah,
majority of
it's
these Shadow
tough.
5 stars are limited, meaning you have to wait until a rerun of them.
Does he skip
to
all
have
his
a chance of
roles?
them.
Sheesh.
There are a couple here and there that are added to the standard pool, and there's also the weird story-locked servants, where they can drop
Yeah,
as part of
story-lock
the
is a
story
weird
banner,
mechanic.
which is permanently available, except they are blended in with the standard pool
Yeah.
as well. So even if you waste your
I
quartz rolling on this
love
banner
Go
and get a
'cause we're
5-star,
all into deep to quit.
Yeah, that and many other reasons for sure. Yeah.
you are not guaranteed to get a story-locked servant. You could just get spooked by a permanent servant instead. What is even the point of this banner? I'm not even talking about the 4 stars because FGO has a lot of them too, and at times, even 3 stars locked behind limited banners. This game is home to some of the most diverse and well-designed characters, both in
Yeah.
terms of aesthetic and gameplay.
Actually
I think
true.
It's such a shame that these stingy rates make getting most of them extremely
It
inaccessible.
is a shame.
For the record, in case I forget later, there is an item called the Unregistered
Oh,
Spirit
no.
Origin, or USO for short. Where you
I
can
honestly,
exchange 10 of them for a
honestly, I wouldn't have even blamed him if he didn't talk about USOs because it's not a good system. It's even like you think the pity is bad. USOs are even worse. They're even worse. 99.99% of players will never get to 10 USOs. It doesn't matter. It sucks. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually omitted this point, but I guess he's gonna talk about it. Okay, it's gonna be bad though.
on-rate-up character. How do you get USOs? That's the neat part. You don't. Only if you pull an
Yeah.
additional copy of a 5-star that you have already max limit broken can you actually get one. Due to the stingy nature of the gacha system, only mega whales will be able to take advantage of this mechanic. Even if you gave a free USO for every player, it will be completely useless for like 95% of them. In terms of
95,
other types of monetization, as
99.
stated before, there is no such thing as a 30-day supply or battle pass. FGO came out before the craze of battle passes in the 2017 period, but I don't see how they can't implement one now, since if there was a good way for low spenders to dip into better resources, I would actually consider paying for it. The only valid way, or I guess 2 ways, is to buy the paid Sync Quartz for the daily paid pull, which is 66% off but requiring a paid SQ instead. The other way is the special banners that occur twice a year known as
GSSRs are a good
SSR,
civ,
or
at least.
guaranteed
I think they're fair. They're
These
good.
banners will include a predetermined pool of limited servants, and you are guaranteed to draw at least one of them at random. These banners can only be pulled on once, and they occur at New Year and Anniversary. They cost 15 paid quartz to participate in. 15 paid Sync Quartz will cost around $15,
Yep.
minus some uneven purchases with the packs. In the context of
And nowadays we have packs for them in JP as
for a
well.
guaranteed limited SSR is a steal. You're basically robbing any Plex.
It
player.
is.
Much of the player base will agree that pulling on the GSSR is a very good idea for a low spender.
Yeah.
This year in NA, they brought an additional type
I've
of
always said that I think the best way to play FGO if you're not like loaded and you want to have a good time but can't afford to spend a little bit is to just be free to play and do GSSRs. That's it. I think that's like the best way to play the game. Just play it for free and but do the GSSRs twice a year. $15, $30 a year to roll GSSR twice. Maybe not even the Destiny order. I mean, it's good too, but it's twice as expensive though. But just rolling GSR twice a year, $30, you get something cool. It's cheap. It's nice. That's how I think that's fair. That's good.
Order summon 1 year early. By spending 30 paid quartz,
Yeah,
you
there's
may
the
select
Destiny.
a roster of 5-star characters, one from each class, in which one of them will be summoned at random. The community loved this change. Look at the generosity of Lysango, allowing us to spend more of our money.
I didn't know the
on our own
reception was
GSSR
that
roster.
positive.
So there's a couple things I want to bring
Of
up.
Destiny.
The GSSRs, including the Destiny Summon one, are considered massively valuable deals. But consider why they're thought of this way.
Yo,
in
give me
the
that
first place.
Luvia.
These deals feel like heaven when compared to attempting to pull one of them manually. The gacha game developer has full control
Ooh,
over the
that's a
rates
huge
and
one.
exclusivity
Oof.
of its characters. The majority of 5-stars
Oh,
in
it
the
was
game
a
are
normal
limited,
one, not a
but combined
GSSR.
with the laughable pity system,
Oh, maybe
makes
actually
them
was a
quite rare
GSSR.
to get. This is a problem that the game itself has invented. And the GSSR and the Destiny Summon banners? Well, that's something I like to call create the problem, sell the solution. When you take a look at the generosity of other gacha devs, such as in Nikkei, where when you use even free gems to pull a certain amount of times during the New Year banner, it will give you an SSR selector that lets you get a copy of any non-limited character. Because
Wow.
the vast majority of units enter the standard pool immediately, you could choose from about 90% of the entire roster.
That's really
This
cool,
selector
actually.
could be obtained by using free gems. So don't come in here and argue that FGO has a generous or fair gacha system, because when compared to the larger
I think
gacha space,
GSSRs are
this
still
is
fair,
not an
but the
argument
system
that you
itself,
can
the
win.
gacha system is
Something
not.
else I noticed is that if you go into the gacha menu of any gacha game, you can preview the kits of the unit, but that doesn't seem to be the case in FGO. So here's a
FGO
question for you.
Wiki!
Let's say I am a new player.
Or watch my tier
See that
list,
there
please
is a
watch them,
ring of
watch them,
banner
they're
on the
totally
5-star
accurate, and
character,
yeah, the
John
best way
Alter,
to know
or
if a
also
servant is good or
abbreviated
not.
as Jolter in the community. Let's say that I'm interested in the design of this character, but I want to know what her entire kit looks like, including passives, skills, and append skills, so that I can make an informed decision whether or not I want to commit some pulls. The question is, how do I do that?
Watch my tier
See,
list.
on the gacha screen, there's no tab or info page that reveals Jolter's kit, only a page explaining the rates. There's none of that in the news section that goes over each rate-up character except for what their noble phantasm does. So how do I get that
Yeah, that is
information?
actually kind of bare bones.
In all the gachas I've played at this point, the entire kit is outlined in the gacha
Why don't-
page for you to view.
I mean, we have some
including their
trial
stats
quests
and
sometimes,
skills.
so why
I'm
are they not
grasping
the
at straws
norm?
here, but maybe if I go into the servant roster, I can maybe pull up Jolter's kit. Except you can't see
Who
the profile
cares
of a
about kits? Jolter hot insta-row and Grail.
Yeah, fair enough.
servant that you don't own. The only feasible way to see it is by going into the friend list, find someone that has Jolter, then tap and hold on it to see the profile. See,
Oh, look
whenever
at those
a new servant gets
foes.
announced on the
Oh.
JP server, they showcase their NP animation, and they show what it does on a stream, but they don't actually show their full kit.
They
Only when
don't.
players pull that character can that information be added to the wiki. So here's my challenge.
No, no one needs to
When the
pull
next
them. They
servant
dynamite
releases
that
on
shit.
JP, make a servant guide on that unit, but you can only use information given in-game. No looking anything up on a third party. That's what I thought. You, of course,
Yeah.
want all the information you can on a unit before making the decision to pull for them or not. If you are making
Well,
a
to
guide,
be honest, I feel like he's playing the game wrong. Like, I kind of agree with Pablo just now. Who cares about pulling for gameplay? You see a character you like, you go for it. That's all that matters. So, all I'm hearing is the yapping of a gameplay roller. Again, maybe I'm mostly joking here, by the way. But I think I still hold on to that principle that I think you should mostly just pull for characters that you like. Because FGO, I'm not sure if he's going to touch on this much, but compared to a lot of other gacha games, FGO is easy. Overall, it is a very easy gacha game compared to, like, you know, the highest difficulty weekly, monthly rotation challenge modes that like Hoyo games do, where you need to have like really well built 5-star only characters to even clear them and get the max stars and your fucking rewards. FGO doesn't have that. We just have challenge quests, and because you can pick a friend support too in like basically every single one of them, it's so easy. You just pick a castor if you don't have one, and then you win. You just auto-win. You have command seals, you have everything. The only thing that I think gacha makes it a bit easier is to improve your account more, because you can farm better. That's what I think it's gameplay rolling is actually can be significant. To be able to farm more, better, faster, efficiently. That's about it. But overall, I think people should not be rolling for gameplay.
You of course will want other
Not gonna,
people to
you know,
all
judge
the
anyone that
information
does,
about
though.
the servant before recommending them to pull or not. It is truly baffling that information crucial to how a character works is not displayed in-game.
They should still do that, though, yeah?
Earlier this year, FGO did a collab with Mahoyo, a visual novel franchise belonging to the same Type Moon universe.
That was great.
There was a 5-star character called Kuonji Alice. So if I go into the official FGO JP website and look for the news announcement regarding the banner and the servant details, theoretically I should be able to get all the information I need, right? Okay, let's scroll down. Alright, so here we can see Alice's max HP and attack stats, we can see what her NP does.
Oh, you can see the class 2 and the MP type.
But where are the skills? What about the passives? What about the advanced skills? It should be reasonable to expect that information from the official site, right? Because if you can't, don't you find it a little odd that you can't actually see...
True. And now that I think about it, all other gacha games do show this in-game, though. FGO doesn't.
Another turn-based visual novel gacha that allows for 3 actions per turn. If we click on the magnifying glass on the radar of SSR,
yeah, this is what they always do. You can click them on the banner. Like every other gacha game does this.
Including the full numbers of what gets upgraded.
We're just so wiki brain now. We don't even care about it anymore. We just assume it's the case.
Some gachas even let you take the character for a test drive. I know there's a few cases where FGO does put out a test trial for a new servant, like the anniversary or the New Year ones. But why not just put one out there?
Yeah, I was mentioning this earlier. Why isn't it not a norm?
That a gacha game should never cross. One of them is that the game should make it very clear what your money is buying you. I think the fact that you literally have to look up the information on an external site to get the full details is, in my opinion, a little shady. So with all these components in mind, it's only natural that I give a below expectations rating for this section. However, I do want to give a few suggestions on how
honestly,
can improve.
Honestly, below expectations is kind of generous. I would give it like a 0 and say, fuck this sucks, what are you doing? But you know what? We'll take a below expectations. That's actually kind of generous.
No matter how slim the chances they'll get implemented.
I guess he's not going to go below his scale or whatever.
And we'll have its pity decrease to 220 pulls, with the equivalent of 600 sane quartz as opposed to 900.
Even 600 is rough.
Pulls mileage is quite common these days, and even then, this is still on
but
the
it would be way
side,
better, of course.
Most gachas are below this limit for pity anyways. Third, after a certain amount of time has elapsed, a 5 or 4 star will move to the standard pool. This is something, again, getting quite common in gacha games these days. Because I think it's such a shame because FGO has a lot of cool designs for servants, even for the lower rank.
I like that he actually got a reason. I remember earlier he said about the cool designs. He showed Summer, Gareth, and Bakian on both of those as well. Are those like his favorite designs? I'm not blaming the guy, but it's pretty funny. He did the same thing. I remember it was specifically Bakian and Summer Gareth being shown on the designs.
Some of them are definitely showing their age, and I'm sure a lot of players would appreciate classics like Cleopatra or Gilgamesh becoming summonable as part of the permanent pool. The wait time can be like a year.
Idle death gamble. Throughout spending in gacha, I, alone, am the gambler one. Always bet on that 0.7%.
It's 0.8 now, excuse me. It's marginally better.
Lysenko can keep their collab units and their favorites as truly limited, but after a year, most SSRs will be able to spook you. Get rid of the story-locked mechanic. Why does this even exist? You're not guaranteed a story-locked servant when you pull on the banner, so if you wanted a specific one, you would have to wait until that character goes on raid up anyways.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Just give players a different type of summoning tickets for this banner exclusively, so they don't waste their resources on the story banner, like 5 freebie monthly pulls for it. So yeah, FGO Gacha.
Whoa, flexing.
To sum it up briefly, that's how you're walking into.
He did the line.
Next up, presentation. For the record, I do not judge gacha games for 2 primary aspects, gameplay and story. Well, technically music too. Gameplay and music are both pretty subjective, as long as there's nothing glaringly wrong with
I think both are amazing, fight me.
The story, well, I don't think a gacha game needs to have a good story to be a good game, like how people play Epic 7 for the PvP. Story is second priority. This section on presentation...
Is it really that big in that game? Holy crap. PvP being the main in a gacha game, that's crazy.
And so on. Let's start with the framework that FGO was built on. Because of the initial cash grab nature of the game, the engine was hastily strung together and was slowly patched over time. Many of the UI and quality of life elements feel so outdated and so out of touch with modern standards, one might wonder why not just port it to a new engine. I used to play an online card game called Gwent.
Yo, Gwent.
There was a major update called Homecoming that completely revamped almost every aspect of the game. CD Projekt Red ported everyone's progress to a new game and continued development from there. Of course, the main gameplay loop was kept intact, but its framework for supporting the game was improved upon. I just gotta wonder, what's stopping Losango or Aniplex from doing the same? The game consistently performs on
Well, it's way more resources by now, but they should have done it ages ago anyway.
Once again, I need to reiterate that it is up to the developers to address any issues with optimization and any technicalities. I cannot give any exceptions to FGO, simply because it wouldn't be fair to the other games I've reviewed on the channel. So the story of FGO is presented in a visual novel format, but for whatever reason, they never bothered to make more than 2 lines of dialogue show up at a time, so you have to be very selective on how the words are read.
I think that's fine though, honestly. I never minded that part.
It's weird because they have figured out how to do scalable text in some of the dialogue choices.
I think that's a
There's
nitpick, if
absolutely
anything.
no live 2D animation here, and parts of it can be forgiven since it wasn't.
Yeah,
so
there's a
huge
lock
back
button
then.
too.
Plus, I'm sure someone can argue that live 2D goes against the spirit of FGO and ruins the original artwork. Another thing is that the original game
That's
engine
subjective
was
as
built
well.
for those older generations of phones where the display were less.
Okay,
wide,
performance
where
issues
it
are
was
bad though.
ported over to
The
newer
game should be
displays
running well on
in
even
2017
average phones, and it always
took them like
doesn't.
a year or so to migrate the display. Before that, you could still download the game, but it would have an ugly-looking border around it like this.
Yeah,
When
that
the
sort of
display
thing too.
was ported over, the sprites retained their resolution, so if we blow it up on a big screen, it gets pretty pixelated. There's also no voice acting, despite the amount of revenue that gets pulled from this. It's really a shame because some of the story moments are really good.
I kind of wish they
I think a lot
did,
of
but
Faith
it's
fans would
yeah.
love to see these scenes come
I
to
think
life
they
with
could
voice
afford it.
performances. I
They
guess
should
can
do
save the
that.
budget for the anime adaptations, but as of currently, none of the Lost
Wait, that's so funny. I'm not sure. Was that an accidental? That's so. I assumed it was an accidental, but he literally mentioned it's a shame there's no voice acting, and then he shows the part of the Solomon movie where all the servants get summoned, but none of them were voiced. None of them said anything. They were just there to. Again, I assume it was just like a coincidence. But if he did that on purpose, that's actually hilarious. It was the one part of the movie, like they just didn't bother to bring all the voice actors for the small cameo servants. Most of them just said nothing. They were just there, like doing that. So that's funny. Again, just maybe a
I guess they can
coincidence.
save the budget for the anime adaptations, but as of currently, none of the Lost Belts have been adapted to anime yet.
They
I know
should.
it's possible to add it since some scenes, including the Valentine stories with each servant, are fully voice acted.
Yeah, this is one of the best
Unlike
things.
a silent visual novel, you can't really argue that it's more immersive to imagine what the different servants sound like, since they already do have voices. But hey, small indie company, am I right? Now, I've been an avid visual novel enjoyer for quite some time. I understand the importance of writing clear and concise words, but also being very flowery with it. I have no doubt that Kinoku Nas is a very skilled writer. A lot of the story is extremely captivating, filled with well-established characters and lore, not to mention the faithful localization to English. I ultimately don't have any problems with it, but I can't help but think that it could have been more. For example, let's compare this to Reverse 1999.
I mostly
which
just
also
agree
does
with the
a visual
voice acting
novel
part
style
there.
of storytelling. Not only is the main story and event stories fully voice acted, the character sprites are expressive and detailed, beautifully animated in live 2D.
I don't think the animation, I think that's a nitpick as well. Modern servants tend to have so many expressions that they can still easily convey what's happening. I don't think that's a problem, but I would like to hear the voice acting at
Plus a
least.
special illustration for the 4th and final ascension. However, it's quite clear that the newer and shinier 5 stars get the special treatment here, as their portrait arts change more dramatically, whereas the low rarities just kind of add a few details here and there. Technically, each servant comes with 3 skins, and for the newer units, they even have different sets of voice lines depending on which Ascension skin is applied. Something else I quite like when gacha games do this is special interactions between characters. When you level up the bond level of a servant,
Yeah, these are
tapping on them
cool
in the
always.
lounge menu can sometimes trigger a line of dialogue regarding another servant if you have them in your roster.
Yeah.
I like this. This is a very nice touch. It showcases that Chaldea is alive and the servants physically know each other.
And that's what
instead
fuels
of
the
only
doujins
interacting
as well.
with the player, making them the center of the universe. The music is also pretty good. I wouldn't say the game is known for it, but it's there. though I wish there was a way to change the lobby music. There are skins that
could be cool too, actually.
They are not paywalled. You trade for it using in-game materials and some
I'm still surprised they actually gave us costumes for free.
Some give unique
considering the game has like no monetization besides torts.
So that's the pleasantries out of the way, because for the next 10 minutes or so, I will be critiquing FGO's UI system.
Oh
Typically,
no.
In a gacha game, when you want to upgrade a character, you go to the character menu. You select the character you want, then you make all the upgrades from there. In FGO though, this is a bit different. There's a tab called Spirit Origins where you can see your roster, but bringing up a servant's details page, you can't actually do any upgrades from here. Even long tapping on the skills button doesn't bring you to the page. There is a separate tab that you have to go to instead called Enhance, where you have to individually decide if you want to level up a servant, the skills, the CEs, command codes, limit breaks, and grailing. Why do all these menus exist instead of a central?
I mean, honestly, it's not that bad. It just adds a little bit more like hassle, but
you'll need embers or other CEs that act as XP. As mentioned previously, you have
it
to
just doesn't
physically
look
select
amazing
which
if it's the
embers to
thing.
use, as some give more XP than others, and you can't use more than 20
Like it's just more
once.
transitions
You
between
then have to
menus,
watch
but
a
there tends to be
cutscene with the
shortcuts
embers you use,
anyway.
And even if you skip it, you have to watch the level gauge go up and the servant saying their level up line. I would really appreciate a way to skip this entirely, since the majority of gacha games these days don't have this problem. The quick select feature is there.
I mean, honestly, the thing is, most gacha games also don't have any voice lines from the servants getting upgraded anyway. So he could also nitpick on that for other games, I feel like. Like, yeah, it adds more time spent, but you also get something out of it. You get to see your servant react to you improving them, right? Which I think is pretty cool. In other gacha games, you just, hey, here's 500 EXP. They're like the Moai emote. They don't say anything. They don't move. They don't do anything. They're just like, oh, my level went up. The number just goes up. So at least you get something, you know? You see the servant reacting more to what's happening. So it's not nothing.
He's a gameplay addy. That's why he's nitpicking this law.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, based on the gacha thing, he might be more biased towards gameplay over, you know, other stuff maybe as well. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see, we'll see.
Filter and select embers, except this feature is not there for CEs. It's not so bad if you're just leveling a
CE leveling is ass though, that much I agree. Servants I'm okay with. CEs are ass. They're ass. Bombing CEs, getting them up, it's ass. That sucks at least. Like, wow, he's doing his idle animation. You leveled him up. Wow. True, FGO should also refund EXP if you go over the cap. I never thought about that, actually. It should do that, too. It should give you some EXP back if you end up wasting some due to, like, a bonus or something. It's not a big deal, but it should be there as well. The CE leveling though. To be honest, that's you're not supposed to do it like that anyway, but bombing is still ass anyway. So yeah, I can't really defend that.
Except 9 years later, servant kits have become a bit more complicated. Due to the spaghetti code, the game cannot change the skill description when it's level, and there's no way to implement keywords or side menus to absorb.
Well, again, this is just the thing that everyone just looks up. No one reads the in-game stuff anyway, unless I'm doing like a first impression on JP's server. You're just gonna read the wiki.
Is pretty interesting. It basically does
you're just gonna read the wiki. I mean, it's not an excuse, but or it is an excuse, but
except
yeah.
Players are greeted with a giant wall of text. Usually, when games introduce complex mechanics, they use keywords or bolded text to strip down on the information and make it easy to digest.
Yeah, when you play FGO, you just become wiki-brained, and you kind of accept it. It's not the worst thing ever.
Skill called Imperial Privilege. If we take a look at
it says random effects, doesn't it?
The in-game text will simply say that there is a chance to trigger an attack or defense buff and a healing effect. Okay, so what is the chance? The level does go up.
IP doesn't say it. He should have. What was it? Some skills say trigger random effects, I think, and I'm not even joking. On NA.
Know which skills to prioritize, and I can already hear the veteran FGO players shouting at their screens. Use the wiki. It's not a big deal.
I just did that. Again, it is an excuse. Again, I'll reiterate. It is an excuse, but I don't think it's that bad. Because let's be real. Here's the thing. Let's say you play like Genshin, Star Rail. Yeah, you can see what the characters and whatnot do in game. But you're still gonna be doing so much Googling of the characters anyway. Because you wanna know what artifacts to use on them. You wanna know team comps. You wanna know the best weapons to put on them. What substats to roll in your relics. Thank God FGO doesn't have gear, by the way. Random stats are fucking ass. So you're still gonna be Googling about the characters a lot anyway. So I don't think this is actually that bad, right? I don't think it's that bad. In any gacha game, if you take any gacha game semi-seriously, you're going to be Googling the characters a lot anyway. So, yeah, it's an excuse, but I don't think it's that bad.
I think it's up to modern gaming standards to hide critical information from players and ask them to look it up on a wiki. If we take a look at what
the game should still list more. I agree on that. They should still list more like in-depth info, yeah.
Or defense buff to proc. And the amount actually caps out at 44% each. This would have been very nice to know in-game, such as those skills that increase the NP gauge, sometimes known as battery skills. It doesn't actually show how much of it gets filled, so again, you literally have to look it up. This is quite frustrating, since if I knew how much of the gauge would get filled up, my plays might have been different. Part of me wants to say that it's a game engine limitation, but they are able to show the numbers on append skills. Something else FGO does is traits. But this can get a little confusing.
Oh, traits are a fucking mess, dude.
There is alignment, which is kind of like
all of this.
Standings of a certain character, such as lawful good, neutral balance, or chaotic evil. The alignment of a servant is displayed in the profile section in the menu. There are also attributes, and all servants will be assigned one. They're either man, earth, sky, star, or beast. In fact, they're actually
no one is beast attribute, right? Of the playables, though. But yeah, fair, still.
Attributes are not to be confused with traits, which are things that describe the character, such as humanoid, super large, divine, and so on. There are a number of skills or NPs that specifically...
Do they give them to the beast? I guess, do they give them to the beast servants? I thought it was only NPC beasts, but maybe not. I didn't check, actually.
To enemies with the giant traits, since, you know, David and Goliath.
Oh, some even non-beasts have it. Okay, I actually didn't know that. Oh, wow.
My only question is, here's an enemy on the field. How do I check what traits they have? What about servants? It does show their alignment chart in the profile, but what about their other traits? Summer Brynhilder has a skill that grants buffs to allies with the trait Loved Ones. Okay, what is that?
No, the funny part is the Bryn one is still to this day one of the most confusing things ever, because there is no actual good explanation as to how a servant has Brynhild's beloved. Because at first we were like, oh, but it's like basically all the dudes, right? No, it's not. It's not even all the dudes. In fact, it's a lot of girls too. Like, there's no actual big explanation as to how someone gets... Like, that one in particular is one of the biggest messes ever for, like... It's just, you can't know unless you look it up.
How would I know which allies to bring if I don't know if they have this trait? Internally, this trait is known as Brynhilder's Beloved, and it is tagged onto a handful of servants. Okay, so if I see that Bedivere here is tagged with it, then how would I know in-game that he has the trait?
You wouldn't.
It doesn't list it anywhere on the profile. What about Berserker Ku Hulain? His profile has the alignment of Chaotic Evil, vastly different than Bedivere's Lawful Good. The alter ego Okita Alter has the Loved One trait, but the summer version does not. Let's take a look at another trait.
Is it bigger? Why?
Has the special damage modifier to servants, as the game suggests, with the exclusion of those with the power of the star. The idea here is that as the king of heroes, he has access to the Vault of Babylon, being able to recreate the powers and weapons of every servant.
Damn, the guild one too, yeah.
So naturally, one can assume that when up against another servant enemy, aside from those with the star attribute, Gilgamesh's NP will do more damage. Okay, so if I bring up the list of the star attribute servants, can I assume that this roster is immune to Anima Elish? Again, I need to bring up the wiki for this, since you can't actually see a servant's attributes in-game. And before you comment this, I'm already 2 steps ahead of you, because I know that this new year on JP 2024, there was an update to include the attributes of a servant in its profile, making the in-game descriptions more accurate. It only took them 8 years, and this change will grace the NA servers surely in 2026. To answer the previous question, no, not all the star attribute servants are immune. In fact, there is a special list of characters with immunity instead.
Yep.
Most of them are star attribute, but there are also some wildly inconsistent
Good old
cases.
exceptions.
For example, Romulus, the hero that founded the Roman Empire, is immune, but the Lancer version, Romulus Quirinus, is not. Regardless
Also,
of the
base Roma is not divine, by the way. No biggie at all. He's not divine because of reasons.
The issue here is that except for the vague term power of the stars, there's no way to confirm in-game if a servant is immune to this. So when you're out in the game planning out a stage, you can't just tap on the enemy's portraits to see their traits. You have to exit the game app, check the enemy lineup.
I mean, to be honest, even if you could tap it in game, at that point it would be pointless because you already built your team and you've spent your AP and you're already in battle, right? So it would be pointless anyway to see it in battle because you already did all the decisions. So it would have to be pre-battle anyway. So yeah, to further emphasize this point here, I guess.
And say, oh, this enemy has a certain trait, let me bring the appropriate attacker. How much does this charge up my MP gauge again? Alright, I gotta look this one up too. Oh, okay, so I got enough to MP this turn so I can actually make this play. Oh wait, does that soldier have the human or humanoid trait? Does that Treant have the giant or the super large trait? It doesn't take a genius to figure out, this is not a good player experience. You
Yep.
have a lot of traits in the game, that's totally fine, but some of the times it's vague and misleading. For example, for the human and humanoid traits, as
Oh,
mentioned
the NA
previously,
translation is so bad
encompasses
with
those that
that.
are
Oh
humans
god.
and those that look human respectively. However, the human trait is only reserved for those enemies that are actually humans, but there are no servants in the game with that trait. Meanwhile,
Some rare
humanoid
exceptions in
includes
stories,
the
but
vast
yeah.
majority of servants and a much wider array of enemies, and you can easily argue that all humans are also humanoid. Now look, the trait system is cool, like you can expand out to a lot of niches and for team building and character designs. The issue here is that the game does not give you enough information on the intricacies of them, and unless you, again, look it up on an external wiki, you can't get a full grasp of the system. Let's take a look at
Yep.
the in-game UI now. When you chain together your cards, there will be a display below to let you know of the effects of the chain. So if you use Arts as the lead card, then every subsequent card will have a NP gain effect.
Yep.
So, if I was a new player learning the ropes, if I tried chaining together a Buster chain like this with the NP card as the third and final one, my question is, since the lead card is a
What did I
Buster
say for
card,
JP? Oh, for like traits? I think the way they differentiate human trait and... or the man attribute and the human trait is that for human trait, I think it says ningen. It just says ningen, like human. And then for man attribute, it's hito no chikara. It's like the power of man. So it's very distinct. Because they use the no chikara for all the attributes. So you know it's an attribute at that point anyway. So in JP, it's where I think is very distinct. But in NA, it's like... it was like so... I forgot how they were. It was like so similar. It can be very misleading.
and the chain itself is a Buster chain, then it's expected that the last card in the chain will get a significant damage boost. In fact, I expect the MP to do different amounts of damage if it was placed on the front or back side of the chain. Regardless of what the correct answer may be, if I try chaining it like this, the game's UI will tell me that the NP will get an attack.
Oh yeah, it's still listed like that,
So
even
as
though
a
it doesn't
beginner,
work.
shouldn't be
I didn't realize
unreasonable to
that.
assume that that's what it does, right?
Oh,
Here's something else. If you select a
True.
lead card of a certain type, all your other cards will softly glow in the type's respective color. Just
wait,
to indicate the
wait!
bonus
I've
system.
never noticed that glow before. I've never noticed that it glows with the first card, like color. What?
First card provides.
I never paid attention to that. Wow.
Pippa pee 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 piglato la 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 love 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 I.
Yeah, same. Thanks.
So if you tap on a Buster card, all your cards will glow red, hinting that they will
Wow.
receive the effects of the first card.
Does it do it on the
giving a
MP card
slight
as well?
attack
Yeah.
up.
I assume
And the
that's where
same
this is
applies to
going.
Quick or Arts.
It
But here's
does.
something interesting. If you try to lead with a certain card type, even the MP cards will glow in
Yo,
that
why do
color.
they do
So
that?
again, if I was a new player and I see that my Buster NP is glowing blue since I have an Arts lead card,
Uh-oh.
it would be expected that since I'm leading with Arts, then the Buster NP will also
That
have
is
an
very
NP
misleading,
effect,
yeah.
Right? No,
Wow.
that's not how it works. MP cards work a bit differently from face cards. They are not affected by the first card bonus. They can generally be used as the lead card themselves, but there's obviously going to be some nuances here where you could place it further down. In this case specifically, using it in a chain like this will not increase that servant's MP meter. The game UI is misleading you with false information.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
In case you're wondering, this is still happening on the JP servers 9 years later. When I see stuff like this, I gotta ask Lasango and Aniplex, what are you doing?
Yeah, why? I never thought about that because I know how it works, but yeah, that is true. That is very misleading.
When you enter each level, it will expend the respective amount of AP points. Of course, this is nothing new in gacha games, except if you lose or decide to quit out, the AP is still expended. So if you accidentally tapped on a Nero instead of your usual caster friend support, or didn't know how difficult the encounter could be, from the perspective of FGO, that sounds like a you problem.
Well, to be honest, usually the difficult battles are like 5 AP anyway. So I feel like that at least is a nitpick. But I guess they could refund. But at the same time, like he was saying earlier, and what I was saying as well, the AP in FGO is very generous anyway. So if this was a Hoyo game, you know, where 60 like AP, whatever the game happens to be, it's like fourth of an entire day, and they don't give you a lot of like Apple equivalents like items to refill your AP anyway, unless you're willing to swipe or use your gacha currency for it. In that case, it would be annoying. But I don't think it's that bad. Again, hard quests tend to be 5 AP. That's like nothing, and then you know you get so much AP anyway. So, and if you mistap, that is kind of a you problem, honestly. It kind of is. Don't play when you're like half asleep or something, I don't know. Although sometimes if you have a shitty phone and you're scrolling through the supports, wanting to go down and find someone else, it can lag and then your swipe can register as a tap. It has happened to me sometimes, but yeah. But besides that,
Problem. Typically in other gachas, the resource is refunded back to you whenever you lose.
Yeah, but again, in those games, it's way harder to get by with AP anyway.
Is much needed here, as it feels quite punishing.
This is not that big important for FGO, but it could be done, I guess. Sure, why not?
Have the safeguard in place. The front point gacha is where you go to roll your low rarity units. Usually in the late game, this is just for getting fodder to upgrade your units for CEs. However, during certain events, there is a limited time servant that gets added to the FP pool. It is generally advised by veterans to accumulate your FP and wait for these events, as pulling them grants you a lot of servant coins, which is then used to perform something called grail casting, enabling you to exchange servant coins for holy grails. It's a small thing you can optimize. The only issue is that it takes ages to spend on
this and leveling Cs is absolute ass.
So you have to sit there clicking away.
This sucks.
Hundreds of thousands of FP are all used up. And not to mention micromanaging your inventory, since you could quickly exceed the cap for servants and CEs. I wish there was a way to roll the FP gacha.
Also, it's funny because, again, he was just talking about the cap. It's funny because the cap is lower for FP, but it's almost limitless for normal gacha, like quartz gachas. That's kind of really like shady though, yeah. Like it caps out way. How much over can you go per cap on FP? It's like 200 over per cap. It's 100 or 200. I keep forgetting. I think it's 200 over the cap, and then it forces you to, you know, oh, it's only 100. Jesus, yeah. Then it forces you to like clear out your inventory. But in gacha, I think how much over can you go the cap? Probably like 1,000 or something. I forgot what the number is, but it's way up there. Basically, you will never need to do it if you're spending, like, unless you're spending an entire paycheck to gacha, you will never have to worry about that when rolling Saint Quartz. So it is kind of shady like that. I don't think he mentions it here, but I might as well mention it.
Lottery events, which would be an appreciated feature. Quick play or an auto battle feature is also quite common in modern
this topic.
If you already beat the level once and the game knows that you can do it, you can
This
skip
is
the level
always a
and get the rewards
touchy
immediately.
topic.
This is not present in FGO. The best way to farm is to use the 3-turn farming methods.
But like, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Like, in every, not just FGO, every gacha game, at least 90% of the content is farming related, right? So if you make it so that you can literally auto clear a node by the press of a button, that removes 90% of you playing the game. Now I get it. convenience is still nice. And the joke, which kind of happens to be the truth, is that, you know, the less you have to play a gacha game, the better that gacha game is. But at the end of the day, games are still meant to be, you know, played for entertainment, right? Now, I'm not saying FGO's farming is super entertaining always, can be very boring. But again, that's why this topic, it has no... Like, I'm not sure if he's trying to be objective with this point. I guess we'll see in a second once I hit play. But I don't think you can be objective with this point, because it's not for everyone. Where with the press of a button you can clear a node, it can be a very bad thing as well. So it depends on who you ask. There is no objective truth or correct choice to handle this. So there's that. Just want to put that out there, because if you really don't want to play the game, then don't play the game, you know? That's like my take, but yeah, convenience is still a thing, of course.
Optimized for time and brain usage. Getting one of those meta supports is not a hard requirement, but not having one will majorly inconvenience you. That being said, when certain
I think it's just because most people just want to consider these games as like,
since the material drops are more
you know,
such as raids and
ways of they want to be account improving. They just want to be account improvers. They don't really care about the gameplay. They just want to make their account as good looking as possible. That's where the skip button comes into play.
Or Brown Dust 2, you can literally just expand all your AP at the press of a button. Here we have 60 units of your daily resources. Alright, auto battle this for me and we're done. See how easy that was? Nobody looks at
but he keeps saying like it's an like, yeah, sure, it's convenient, but he sounds so happy when he says that. It's like, oh, I spent my entire day's worth of AP in 1 second. Now I can go do something else that's actually fun. Like, do you realize what you're saying, right? Yeah, sure, for you. But like, at that point, why are you playing the game? Why are you playing the game? Are you just playing it for the story? You play like once every month? Otherwise, you just log in every day, press 2 buttons, and you're gone? I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess he plays a lot of gacha games. So for him, it's probably really good that you can be done with your game in like 2 seconds. Yeah, sure. But I don't know. It's just, he sounded so happy about it. It's like, oh, look, I can do that. Great. It's like awesome. But again, I don't think that's it for everyone, you know? I don't know. It's such a weird topic, you know?
It's a daily chore, so letting players skip it...
I mean, to be honest, in FGO, you can make blue apples and save all those for a lottery, honestly, if you want to. You don't have to do daily QP, embers, whatever. You don't have to. You can do blue apples.
Any AP
just do that.
Command spells they use are refunded. They're only to be used when the level is actually cleared. To my understanding, some of the Lost Belt 7 bosses did actually refund you your AP back, so I know this is possible. Second, since 3-turn farming has been part of FGO's cultural identity, instead of implementing a sweep or autoplay function, what they can do instead is to let you spend AP on bulk and give you the respective amount of rewards. So if a farming node costs 40 AP to enter, you can spend 120, triple the amount to clear once, then get triple the amount of rewards. Now we've solved the tedium of farming while staying true to the FGO.
I think solving is again subjective, but okay, fair enough.
So vile,
I already said bye peace on that.
Saying this word will strike fear into even the most die-hard FGO fan. And that word is... crossplay.
Okay, what is this?
Crossplay, or cross-platform play, is a standard feature of gacha games.
Oh, he's gonna talk about the account binding and whatnot, right? Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Action-intensive activities with a keyboard and mouse, then log in on my phone before sleeping to spend my stamina. Maybe I want to enjoy the main story on a large screen so the small-ass mobile display doesn't burn my eyes, then log in on my phone to do dailies at night. Now, I understand that not all gacha games have an official PC port, and that's okay. What matters is that it lets you retain your progression across all platforms simply because, again, it's a good player experience. Maybe it's server
I mean, it is, but is it that big of a deal, really? I feel like most people, like, I play, you know, Star Rail. I never play it on my phone. I just play it on my PC. Like, sure, I could also play it on my phone, but why the fuck would I? I don't know.
This has been the case with all 6.
It is a big deal? Okay, I guess it's just subjective then, I guess. Yeah, sure. Alright, fair. Because to me, it's not that big of a deal. Because I only play my gacha games on one platform.
Primordial technique of transfer codes, where you set a password and enter it to transfer your data to a new device. This means you cannot seamlessly play on a phone or tablet without issuing a code first. If for whatever reason the app is deleted or you lost your phone, you can either try contacting their customer support, then they'll ask you a bunch of personal questions relating to your account, then you just might get your account back.
Technically, you can do this in a way for FGO, but not officially.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of weird way of doing this stuff, but yeah, it's a bit scuffed, isn't it? Yeah.
Then you literally just lose all your progress. This is a major quit moment for even long-term players. There is nothing more disheartening than finding out that the investments you made on an account were all for nothing. What's more frustrating, just like every other technical issue I've mentioned so far, this is a fixable problem. And listen, I can already smell the doubters because I already know about the Aniplex email system introduced in JP earlier this year. This is actually not a crossplay system. It just
it's an account binding system.
Your data across devices. Not to mention that you need to verify yourself as a Japanese citizen. You still have to delete the data on your old device and keep signing in back and forth. It's an improved account binding system, not a crossplay system. I guess if you're on insane copium, you could just keep transferring your data back and forth.
Yo, I like to subscribe.
But it is still a far cry from a true crossplay system widespread in gacha games these days. FGO's story is home to some of the greatest moments in gacha gaming. Some of the boss encounters are genuinely filled with unique mechanics, distinct animations, and visually appealing backdrops. So my question is, why not give players a chance to experience it again? There is a story cutscenes replay, but you can't.
Yeah, story replay.
I'm sure a lot of players will want to relive the moments.
It's one of my most wanted features.
Solomon, Knight Gawain from Camelot, or
like a sandbox mode or whatever.
The Lost Belt.
That'll be cool.
It just strikes me a little odd that FGO is widely known for its beautiful storytelling, yet there is no way to experience any of those cool moments again, except for certain recollection quests. But if you're able to show that this feature is possible, why not just put it there permanently?
Yeah, I agree. This is the point. This is probably my most agreed point in the whole video, because this is the one I want to see. I've been asking for this for years. So yeah, I fully agree with this.
Not optimal for the drop rate or via certain events. Some of these resources are only available in the later chapters. So if a new player gets a shiny new SSR from the Lost Belts, they actually just can't level them unless they reach that chapter.
Wait, Creamhill is not an SSR? Well, honestly, she might as well be, but technically.
The supply is limited. In the Pure Prism shop, you can buy almost every material in the game, but again, there is a limit on how many can be bought.
Yeah, this is kind of silly as well.
Life change, except certain skills are extremely grindy. If we take a look at Melusine's skill level up materials, one level up to 9 will cost 72 bells.
That's tough.
That you have to farm, just a tiny 216 of these. Well, compared to the total Pure Prism stock only at 100, it's not nearly enough to max out one servant's skills. Something frustrating as
well, to be honest, I mean, I wish there was no cap in Pure Prisms, but at the same time, in what gacha game can you literally just go to a in-game store without spending money and buy all the materials you need to max a skill instantly without having pre-farmed? No gacha game. So I don't know why he's nitpicking about that. I still wish Pure Prism you could spend more, but in what game can you just go into an in-game store without spending money, just immediately buy everything you need with some kind of an in-game currency? You know, I don't know. Oh, does reverse do that? Okay, well, that's kind of cool, but I feel like, again, this is going to undermine the whole thing, but okay, whatever.
FGO does not have a fusion function. In other gacha games, you can merge or combine lesser materials.
Yeah, this should be a thing as well.
To balance out any excessive materials.
Yeah, this is a common thing.
That would be pretty helpful here, wouldn't it? In Path to Nowhere, when you rate a level for resources,
or restock, yeah, they should restock the Pure Prism stuff as well, like monthly. They should, yeah, just do a monthly restock.
It's a streamlined process that cuts down on the tedium, making FGO pretty behind on this regard as well. There's also some general jank with the ways how the sorting or the filtering system works. You can kind of search through all your servants to find the right one, but there's all these options that I don't even know if anyone has the time and patience to use.
I use those with CEs.
There is a smart sort, where selecting certain servants
smart sort sucks, it's dumb sort.
Front of the list. Except this feature is really unintuitive what it actually does, since it has to be enabled via something called Smart Sort, except the toggle on the side says Multi-Select. Due to the sheer amount of servants and CEs added throughout the years, I think FGO could really benefit from a search function, in order to find the odd unit that you want, instead of sifting through all these menus.
I can navigate these menus easily, and I hate typing on my phone, so I disagree with that. I don't think a search function is the one that would fix that. I don't like typing on my phone.
All of my 1 and 2 2-star servant that I pulled on
I can
the
easily
FGO
find
gacha.
servants
By
from the
default,
menus using the
sorting is
filters.
unintuitive, and you would have to
Usually it's just
manually
you
select the
usually
servant.
just need a combination of the class and then maybe like a rarity, and that's it. I was like, wow, it took 5 seconds. So I think this is kind of a nitpick, but yeah, fair, okay.
It does get the results I wanted, but this can be confusing if you have a lot of servants to burn all at once, not to mention that the game does not auto-select them for you, and it's possible that you could make a mistake if you're not careful. Let's take a look at Brown Dust 2. Say I wanted to dismantle all of my R rarity gear that's tiers 1 and 2. Quite a long menu to sift through, but if you tap on the filters, you tap on R rarity, tiers 1.
But in FGO store, you can also filter by rarity. I don't know if he knows that. There's literally a star thing at the top, at the filters. Isn't this exactly what he's asking? It's like, it has rarity filters.
1 and 2. And the game will auto-select.
Does he not
every
know
applicable
about
one,
that and he's
which
making
you can
this
just
point and now it kind of
dismantle
looks
right then
dumb?
and there. Not only is this way easier, I know the game is not going to make a mistake. Now, you might
It's
be
auto sell? Well, dude, if come on, just doing a big swipe across the things, like, let's say you click CEs, you click 1 to 3 stars, you do one big swipe, that takes like 20 seconds or less. I really feel like that's just a nitpick. It's really fast to do in FGO as well. Again, leveling Cs sucks though. That sucks. That sucks. But like selling stuff, I think selling stuff in FGO is completely fine. Assuming he's talking about burning. Yeah.
Well, if the game's got all these problems, why did you stick around? So at the time, I didn't really give it too much thought. I was still commuting in college, and was just happily tapping away at the story on the metro. I think for a lot of longtime players, it's something that you just get used to.
I guess there could be an auto sell button, sure.
Gacha games and realize, wait a minute, why isn't this feature in the game? It's there everywhere else, so why don't they have it? That's just the thing. The game makes millions of dollars, sometimes even on the level of Genshin Impact.
But and also in that case, I assume he was talking about a game having gear, right? In which case, in those games, you tend to have a lot of gear, and you get a lot of frequently as well. In FGO, you tend to... the only time you get a lot of CEs is mostly when you're rolling through a lot of FP, right? And most people don't roll the gacha that often, like the Quartz one. So they only have to clear their inventory maybe once a month. So for them to do like the 20-second thing I was talking about, again, FGO doesn't have this gear system where it's a constant thing that keeps, coming in, right? I don't think it's that big of a deal because the games are fundamentally different in the way inventories work to begin with.
So if you have this much...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't have auto sell. They could put a button there that says like sell everything that's currently selected. Yeah, sure, but I'm saying is like if all the things to choose to like, nitpick, yeah, it's definitely a nitpick.
Below expectations rating.
All right, fair enough.
It's time to put your diverse servants to the test. Let's see how well FGO handles late.
One of the other gacha games that evolved past these quality of life features because they're proven to be handy. Yeah, some of them are like less significant, but yeah, they should still exist. Sure, yeah, sure, I'll agree to that.
We simply do have any more programmers in Lysengo.
Yeah, true. That as well. Also, hey, Osnick, thanks for the 20 months. Said welcome back to the Go Gang. Alright, late game content.
Game
it's gonna be spicy.
My metric for this section.
It's not gonna be pretty though.
How frequent and how plentiful are there ways for late game players to challenge their roster? How I tend to standardize this is by looking at the trend of modern games. I'm expecting to see some endgame dungeons that rotate on a bi-weekly basis, such as Genshin's Spiral Abyss, Nikkei's Solo and Union raids, Reverse 1999's Limbo mode, Brown Dust 2's Evil Castle mode, and so on. I don't believe gacha games should have a big emphasis on late game content, considering the casual nature of them, but it should still have something to reward those that have established accounts to take on a greater challenge.
Yeah, no.
So historically, FGO has some pretty difficult story fights. I won't consider these as late game since they're available to be played at any time. Plus, the game
there should be some kind of a rotational mode where you can get like bonus squirts or something that actually have difficult stuff. There should be something like that.
Quest, often abbreviated as CQ, that has you pitted against a difficult encounter. It's arguable that you don't have to do this, but considering that the reward for the first time clear is a crystallized lore, which is one of the rarest upgrade materials in the game.
Well, nowadays lores are kind of shit out, to be honest, but back in the day, you didn't want to miss out on a single one. But yeah, his point still stands.
2 weeks each. which was the standard for most gacha games. But now they have been extended to 3 weeks, meaning the frequency of CQs have been broadened. Outside of this, there are the occasional advanced quests that I actually quite like, as these are permanent.
There's something, yeah. Advanced quests are good overall, but they're not a great solution. They're good for the game, though.
They take much effort to do.
Yeah.
So, FGO is home to some of the most uniquely designed characters. They tend to lean into their different niches, and solving the puzzle of a challenge quest feels very satisfying if you do pull it off. If you manage to get around the jank of the menus and the UI, you can have a lot of fun in these quests. That being said, I think it's quite a shame because a lot of the cooler designs are locked by ways of limited 4 and 5 stars. Now, I would love to explore all the quirky and unique playstyles if I had more of these servants, but due to the game's stingy gacha economy, if you're a free-to-play or low spender, you really have to be selective of who you want, as you simply just don't have the freedom to realistically target most servants that really.
That is true.
For the record, I don't consider grinding as part of late game content, but just so you know, if you're playing FGO for the long haul, you're going to be doing a lot of farming. If you don't own any of the meta supports that allow 3-turn farming, then it is going to be quite a lot more difficult and tedious to farm for materials. I personally don't find farming fun, since I think it's a tedium that could be resolved by the developers putting in.
I can understand your take. I like farming because I'm a grindy guy, but yeah, it's a fair take. It's a fair.
I think when there is challenge content, I'm generally okay with the designs and the substances of them. Some of the gimmicks and mechanics are pretty cool. I only wish they did them more often. If you really wanted to, you can just skip them or use your revive command spells. I'm willing to give FGO a pass on this one, but it's teetering very close. Late game content gets a within expectations rating from me.
I'm surprised, honestly. Wow, I'm actually surprised he didn't give late game below expectations. Like, there's not much of it. Like he said, it's basically just farming. And the occasional CQ, but they're kind of few and far between. So I'm actually very surprised he didn't go red here. But, you know, sure. I guess we'll take it.
Content schedule, which I will talk about later, as late game challenges should ideally be a routine thing that happens every.
Yeah, we need a routine, like a cycle-based challenge thing.
I believe that a player should be able to jump in at any time without feeling that they've missed out on something. Additionally, older content should be rerun and periodically be made available to let players revisit them. FGO in this regard gets a disadvantage compared to previous review entries since it has been running for 9 years and we can see more of its track record. Let's establish what is actually limited in the game. Well, aside from the exclusivity of limited servants talked about earlier, some events will contain a welfare and/or event CE for you to pick up. The value here is pretty good, as some welfare.
I mean, they have been slowly bringing all these back, but yeah, fair.
And you even get a free MP5 copy. If you were not able to snag them when they were live, you would either have to wait for a rerun or via the upcoming Invocation Festival system, which will allow you to reclaim past welfares as they are released.
This is at least a good system.
This is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Even if an event is rerun, if you already have the welfare servant from the first run, then you get copies of rare prisms instead. Pretty generous for those that have been playing.
Not anymore.
Events historically
most of the time, at least.
But after that, they're either added as a main interlude, so you can play them at any time, or in some cases not rerun at all. This is something I have a grudge with in live service games, since some events have important lore implications that newer players wouldn't know that they existed. There's also skins.
Honestly, I think
the majority of them.
I think all the events that had important story, they tend to be main interludes anyway. And all the other events, which is basically most of them that don't have them main interludes, you're not really missing out. It's just they're mostly just goofy side stories made for, like, you know, whoever's introduced in the event. So only if you care about the new servants in those events you might like them, but besides that, the stories tend to be like not that important or great, honestly. So yeah, I don't know.
Are added to a separate shop menu where you can buy it with prisms, and again, all skins in this game are free, so you don't have to pay anything except in-game resources. Some outfits offer more than others, but hey, could FGO be doing more to mitigate FOMO? Yes, but I think it's far from the worst I've seen. Overall, they've been handling this in a fairly acceptable way.
Yeah, there's not much FOMO in FGO. Yeah, that's a good take.
Lastly,
I agree with that.
We will talk about variety and content frequency. How often does the game receive meaningful updates? How about developer responsiveness? This section primarily takes a look at how well the game is maintained for the long term, including ways to shake up the gameplay loop for more variety. Once again, FGO gets a bit disadvantaged since we can see more of their track record, but at the same time, if this is done well, that would also speak about the quality of the game. Let's see how events and update schedules are handled in FGO. For the first 5 years of the game, normal events ran for 2 weeks, with the more major events like Summer running for
Oh, he's gonna
3
talk about the
instead.
lack of reruns.
This, in my opinion, should be the standard for gacha games. The majority of content patches, if you look at the wider spectrum of the market today, all have 2-week events, then a brief maintenance period before the next one arrives. There should be very minimal or no downtime when nothing is happening. This has changed in the last 2 years. In FGO,
Yeah, it
all
has.
events containing a story mode are now 3 weeks. Normally, I will be fine with this.
They never gave a reason why they stopped doing reruns, right? Like, I don't think, did they ever say why? Like, I don't understand this philosophy still. Like, they already made it. It's all there. They can just press a button to load a previous thing they did and put it in the game. I never understood why they stopped doing that. I don't know. Well, kind of sucks though.
If you're putting out 3-week events, then you better also put out.
It's not an excuse for make new content because they don't make anything for the old stuff. Occasionally they add a little bit to reruns, but that's basically nothing. So that's definitely an excuse.
Than before, taking up more event currency before clearing out the points ladder or the shop. What they have effectively done is artificially prolonging each event period without providing significant new content. It's weird because some people will argue that Losango is being generous because they give players more time to go through the event, but that is going to be a hard disagree from me. I think they're being lazy. Event duration has nothing to do with grind or runtime, but to do with exclusivity. The game gets to dictate the level of grind that players have to do, cut down on the amount players have to farm, and naturally people will spend less time with these tedious things. The event story also doesn't have to be exclusive to the duration of the event itself. What's stopping them from just adding it to an archive?
Yeah, its story is like always 1 week in events, and then it's over.
Have to do event reruns because it doesn't have this problem. It's funny because if any other gacha dev tried the same thing, then the community will suddenly start asking questions like, is the game okay? Why are events being extended? End of service soon? FGO makes tons of money.
Classic.
Everyone knows that it's not shutting down. Yet why are they falling behind in terms of content scheduling when they have been doing this for the first 5 years of the game? I know they can make fun and engaging events. Here are 2 that I found very memorable during my time playing.
Is it seasonals?
In 2022, I was able to catch the rerun of Summer
I knew
4,
it.
the one where you go to Las Vegas. You got the famous Japanese painter Hokusai, who has been turned into an anime waifu.
I understand it well, but everyone always pronounces her name as Hokusai. It's Hokusai. There's no, you don't pronounce the U, okay? It's like Hokusai. So I always have it's the nothing burger, but for every time, dude. It's not Hokusai. It's Hokusai. Okay.
Some swordsman Miyamoto
That's not a
Musashi,
proper
has
critique
been
though.
turned into American, but also an anime waifu. There are also all these mini stories with servants running their own casinos. The fights were fun and plentiful. This was a good event. It ran for 3 weeks, but it was worth it. The Grail concert event following Mysterious Heroine X.
Oh, he liked the Grail Live one. I'm actually surprised.
She competes with other idol groups. You got
honestly, I think it mostly got flagged because it was the collab event, right? Honestly, if it wasn't a collab event, I feel like people would have liked Grail Live way more. But I'm actually surprised he liked it anyway. I guess he doesn't give too much of an ass what the collab events end up being, which is honestly good for him. I didn't dislike. I mean, I'm not that big into idol stuff, but I still thought the event was okay. I'm not mad that we didn't get like a crazy big collab, so I still thought it was pretty good.
New idol skins for the servants. There were unique music tracks like
it collabed with a different app they made for FGO called Waltz in the Moonlight Lost Room or something. Oh yeah, I did. That's kind of funny timing. But yeah, it was like this other app that was like, was it a rhythm game or something like that? It was like Mashu and the Master like dancing to various songs or something. It was like a really small project. Something like that. I never really tried it myself.
Another gripe I have with FGO is that event main story is often time-gated. Did you only have 1 day to play but want to go through the entire story in one go? Well, sorry, because you better wait until the next server reset or after you've grinded a little. Aside from the 3-week events, something else I want to bring up is the content schedule for the past 2 years. FGO is known for its characters and story. I don't think anyone will argue that.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then these are the two aspects of the game they cannot mess up on. Last year in the summer, Lost Belt 6 released, and it genuinely shocked me how good it was. Reading through
Based.
Avalon LaFay, I was willing to forgive any poor scheduling the game had. I think at the end of the day, we often forget that these gacha games we play are free to download. So it's kinda hard to grasp that I'm critiquing free games so deeply. I got to enjoy a story this good for free.
Time getting sucks. That's another argument that I don't think is so black and white. In a way, yeah, kinda. But then at the same time, if we had no time gates, there'd be a flood of these players that, you know, new content is released, they do everything day one. They're like, what? Then day two, they're like, bro, there's nothing to do. This game is dead. I have nothing to do in this game ever. And I hate seeing comments like that. So in a way, that's because I kind of like time gates. Just so we can avoid idiots like that. That's just, you know, of course there's nothing to do. If you spent fucking 20 hours playing the game, dude. Like, come on, dude. You played 20 hours in one day, you're complaining there's no content? Yeah, I wonder why. So, in a way, that's kind of why I like time gates. But overall, yeah, they're kind of bad, I guess, yeah, still. But just, at least that makes it so those comments don't appear too much.
Free? That's unbelievable. It's really something you have to see for yourself, but Lost Belt 6 had such endearing characters, such an epic plot that as I finished it, I thought to myself, oh yeah, that's why I started playing FGO. That's why I was able to forgive its other shortcomings.
Time getting lottos is kind of annoying though, because you get the nodes are the ones you care about for the event, not the story.
I want more of this. So like, when's the next main story chapter? The gap between Lost Belt 6 and 7 was an astounding 16 months on the Japanese servers. Aside from the interlude chapters, which are, by the way, good in their own right, I don't consider them as main story chapters. This
What?
FGO has only
They are
had
absolutely
one
main story, but okay, I mean, yeah, the gap is still
Looking
big,
at
but
their
those are
9 years
absolutely
track
main
record,
story.
That is a record slow
Why would he
pace.
say that?
Even on the JP side,
They're
our
significant.
2.5 dubbed Ordeal Call, some even referred to as Ordeal Stall, is only on Chapter 2, with the latest having released a bit earlier this year.
Spoilers.
Now, Lost Belt 7 at the time was also considered very good in its writing, but the journey for its release was not the smoothest. Let's look into this. The last core of Lost Belt 6 was released in August 2021. The campaign leading up to the 7th and final Lost Belt, dubbed Road to 7, was in place for almost a year. Eventually, the release date for Lost Belt 7 will be announced for Christmas of 2022. 16 months of waiting is a
Shout
long
out to the
time for
final
any-
day of the year,
But hey,
baby.
it's the final arc of the Part 2 saga, so I guess ending it on Christmas is a pretty fitting way to close out the story. However, Lost Belt 7 will be released in multiple cores, with the second half releasing in the following January instead. Now, this is fine since Lost Belt 6 did the same thing. The issue was that there's no definite release date given. The earliest announcement was slated for the second half of January, but that's pretty vague. This could be anything between the 16th to the 31st. Even then, that's fine. As long as they gave players things to do, there shouldn't be any problems.
Things to do.
Except, other than the New Year celebration campaign, there were 0 events happening for the entire month of January. There were 4 weeks of dead air. They couldn't put out a Grailfront minigame, no event reruns, not even a Hunting Quest campaign. And when news finally came out, people found out that there was a delay. The second part of Lost Belt 7 would finally release on January 31st, on the very last day.
Damn, I forgot there was so much dead
Alright,
time
well,
in that
at the very least, we
January.
have a date now. But
Damn.
we're not done with Lysengo's shenanigans. In the last 2 weeks leading to January 31st, they announced a new gacha banner for a brand new character, Nidacris Alter. Well,
True.
who is
Dude, you know
Nidacris
what's
Alter?
funny? I remember this. This one I remember. I was literally doing my first cooking stream ever. And then that fucking day, when I already started my stream, they're like, oh, hey, need a Chris Alter banner. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? So I had to finish cooking. And then I went to eat my pasta and roll for her. I literally tried rolling her in my kitchen as well. So it completely randomly just dropped. When I was doing my cooking stream of all days. It was such a mess, dude. I remember that.
As it turns out, she is a character that is involved with Lost Belt 7's story arc. The only problem is that Nidacris Alter had not even appeared in the story yet.
Yep.
This banner ran from January 18th to February 1st. This means Lysengo had just spoiled everyone. Now, I know some people will be quick to point this out, but this isn't the first time that a character involved in the main story was announced prior to the story's release. The issue here is that Nidacris Alter's release window was only 2 weeks away from the actual story.
But in a way, why is it any different from like a chapter release banner? you know, chapter releases are always going to have new servants that you know you can roll immediately before you even read the story. So I don't know what, just because it's a pre-release banner, it's different now. I don't get it. What? Like what? You would get spoiled anyway because they always do pre-release or like release banners with chapters. So I don't really understand this one.
Minasan, how's going? Are you feeling okay now, Myst?
Yes.
Something special for a birthday stream?
I don't know yet. We should probably think of something, but yeah. Hey, Merc, thanks for the 14 months and welcome back to the Go Gang. My birthday's on the 24th, not today, for those wondering. 24th. I'm gonna be 30. Oh no.
Releases on the 31st has had a chance to meet Nitocris in the story, then you put out the banner. You want to know why I think they did this? I'll tell you. Lysenko reports to Aniplex as the publisher. And
oh, they were like not happy with the dead. Is that what he's saying? Like the dead month?
Reports for the game.
Uh-oh.
Now, since January was a dead month with no events or reruns happening,
I mean, it's not a bad theory though.
To put out a desirable gacha banner. However, since the story was delayed until the very last day, they decided to run the Nitocris banner 2 weeks early in order to inflate those January revenue numbers, despite it not being even shown in the story yet. It sounds to me that this is a company that is willing to jeopardize their creative freedom so long as they can line their pockets.
In a way, I want to say it's not a bad theory, but would Nasu allow that? For something that important? I want to say no, but I don't know. It's not the worst theory ever.
With some extra cash.
I mean, I guess Aniplex is still boss, but yeah.
Putting out a gacha banner is easy.
Who knows?
Actual significant content
what Japanese counter would you use for counting copies of a servant? Would it be because they are flat?
No, it's not my. I assume you're saying that because they're cards, right? But they actually use the counter for cavalry. They use the ki for like, you know, the ki in Kishi, knights. They use that one for servants. I actually know that. So yeah, that's the counter they use. Like, you know, you have Savanto no Ikki. That's one servant. That's the counter they use for servants. The ki in Kishi knights, for instance.
It may seem like I'm picking on FGO here, but the vast majority of the time whenever something needs to be delayed or the scheduling needs to be adjusted, this is well communicated to players ahead of time. By today's standards, it is very rare to see reputable gacha games have extended amounts of dead periods without any events running or last-minute delays. During an interview, Kano Yoshiki, the director for the Lost Belt,
Lord and Savior,
said that the game will be overhauling its bond system in order to address the shortcomings of how bonds
Wait, he said that?
In this game, and that it was a good idea to have as many servants at Bond 10 as you can, and that more news regarding the overhaul will be announced later. This interview was 2 years ago.
I didn't remember that. What the hell? Where's our bond system update?
Quality takes time. You can't just rush this. Now listen, for the record, I don't have a problem if the main story chapters take a long time to release.
Dude, I wonder if you would find him in person and we ask him about that, would he be like, or would he be like, trust, let me cook? I feel like he would be like, but okay.
The issue here is that writing for a live service game is different from writing for a single player one. Nasu doesn't need to do all the stories. What matters is that the game is padded out with consistent and meaningful events with little to no dead air in between. Bring back 2-week events, just like how it was for the first 5 years of the game, reduce the grind, and make more side content. You are a multi-million-dollar franchise, so
it's not a bad
act
take.
like one. Now I want to talk about player appreciation and responsiveness. On the NA servers during the Tunguska Sanctuary event in December 2023, there was an Ivan the Terrible raid boss. However, due to an error with time zones, this raid was skipped, and the next story mode began immediately. This means if you made
No, it wasn't skipped. They fucked the timers, dude. They had him, like, because you know, if a raid takes too long, they have like a kill switch where it just, the story has to progress. They fucked the timer. It was set to, they set it to before the raid even came out. So when it came out, he died immediately. They totally messed it up, dude. It was so funny though. He was dead as soon as it began. I remember, that was funny.
Guide or
sucks, but it was funny.
Boss drops, those plans were null and void. NA players had permanently missed out on this portion of FGO history. The compensation was a measly 10 Saint points.
Honestly, I wouldn't say measly. I feel like most people were not even farming those raids much. So if you get 10 quartz over farming that raid a little bit, I would take that any day. I think it's a good trade deal, actually. You got laughs out of it, a legendary meme was born, and you get quartz over a pretty bad raid to farm. So I would say it was actually pretty good. Maybe hot take, I don't care. I think it was pretty good.
For just over 3 pulls. I understand that developers can sometimes mess up. That's fine. What I
Yeah,
look
we're
for in
used to
case
that.
is how they respond to that mistake. I know FGO's had its generous moments, but the way the game's maintenance is handled is pretty questionable. During the 7th NA anniversary, there were quite a number of times when the service unexpectedly went offline. I'm sure a lot of players will say, well, they compensated players for the
Dude, is he gonna
maintenance, so
talk
there
about the
shouldn't be
24-hour
But
maintenance?
think
I have
about the
PTSD, don't do
inconveniences
it.
this may have cost.
My
All the
login
players
streak.
that may have had limited time in their day to play, or that they were doing something important, but suddenly gets cut off from playing. In recent times, I've never heard of a top gacha game ever having this problem. Now, let's try comparing
Fair.
this to a more competent development team. Quite a while ago, I completed Limbus Company's Chapter 5, which is also a turn-based visual novel style.
Limbus is pretty cool,
I
actually.
gotta say, the story is pretty damn good. So first, I think FGO's got some competition in the story department. This is a game where the writers are extremely confident in the character designs, since there are only 12 characters in the main cast, and all units pulled in the gacha are different versions of the 12.
Yeah, it allows them to easily
Releases a
characterize
main
them
story
better.
chapter fully voiced every 4 months, with an interlude chapter in the middle of that 4 months wait time. The game is rich with lore, a very strong cast of characters, and bi-weekly updates for quality of life changes and new content. The difference of how this developer handles update schedules and feedback is night and day. The thing is, developer
Yeah, fair.
responsiveness is not hard to do. Communicate what you heard from the players, what you're working on, and a rough
Communicate?
schedule for when these problems will be fixed. FGO is the first game I've reviewed from a Japanese developer, and historically Japan tends to be a more traditional
Can you say
adversarial
Dante in
culture.
Korean again? It was
However,
that. It was
this
like,
doesn't have to be the norm because you can so easily go above
it's the
and
way he
beyond
says it in
to do
Limbus.
right.
It's
For
funny.
example, Konami, currently developing the remake for Metal Gear Solid 3, released a conference of the producers of the project discussing the fans' feedback. They were willing to show all the comments, both positive and negative. This was a bold move, but it also
Wait,
won
really?
back a
Did
lot of
Konami
player
do
goodwill
something
after their
correct?
treatment of the
Wow,
Metal
that's
Gear Solid
surprising.
franchise before. Even then, being
Surprising.
reserved doesn't make someone incompetent. If you don't have any transparency with players, you are still expected to roll out content updates in a reasonable schedule.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, maybe that particular moment from them was good, but I would have probably picked a different example for a company listening to players' moment than picking one good moment from Konami, a company notorious for kind of shitting on their players and even people working for them. But okay, fair enough. I guess that one moment was maybe good.
Nothing. That will still cause people to doubt you. It's not something that's out of the realm of possibilities. They have the budget to do it. Earlier this year, they did the first servant animation updates after
Damn, that kind of
2
sucks, Andrew.
years,
But I guess,
revamping the
yeah, sure.
animations of the 2 SSR genre versions to make them appear more fluid in gameplay. There's even a unique attack animation if you attack
Oh my
Jim
god, here
as
we go.
Jean.
This is a long one, let's see. Tired with the friggin'
The
text.
problem with this is that Lesengle is under Sony's grip compared to these other gacha games like Limbusan, Nikki.
Yeah, I guess that's
They
true.
are free so they can, provide a lot of QOL in which if FGO does it and Sony doesn't like it because it may minimize dollar. They won't do it. The only good
Okay.
fee.
Okay, I didn't read the whole thing, but yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's all the corporate stuff going on, but yeah. Yeah.
That's a really
If it was a
nifty way
different
to
game
add
studio,
attention
maybe
to
they would have
detail.
more to say
They
about
didn't
it,
have to
actually.
do
Yeah.
this, but they did. During the 7th anniversary, the gameplay system also added a buff to quick chains and adding the mighty chain, which both shake up the game in a major way. So I know Lesengle is capable of doing
Yeah, I
these
agree with
improvements
Andrew.
if
Like,
they do set
unless the
mind
game
to it.
suddenly starts
If one of
making a
those
lot less
animation
money, I
updates,
don't
just
think
like
they're
how
gonna
they've
do
done in
big
the past,
changes.
I'm sure a
Like,
lot
they're
of
probably
players would
happy
like
with
to
how
see
much
the end
money
of
the game is
these
making,
cast
even if it could be making
What about
more.
Leonidas? His
They're
MP
like,
animation
you
is
know,
just literally
if it
standing
ain't broke,
there
don't
against the
fix
black
it. They're
background.
for sure on
So
that
I mentioned this
mentality.
in the previous video, but it pays to be stingy. If players are willing to
Yep.
give a developer a pass despite not being treated too well,
I mean,
that is
I
the
feel called
perfect
out here
scenario
for
to
sure
be
because
in.
I spend a lot of money
This
on
is because
FGO,
when the
but yeah, what
developer
can you do?
eventually does something that's minutely good, they get praise like the second coming of Christ. Look at the overwhelming amount of praise when the genre animation updates happened. I guess Lesengle is the good guys after all. I guess they do care about us. Now, I'm sure the game has had its moments, like the pity system, alongside full-screen cutscenes and optimization.
Good moments? Pity system? Was that, did I hear that correct? I don't know about that, but okay. Yeah, that was like nothing, but, you know, thanks. Thanks.
Brought to the NA servers early, so I do want to give them credit that not all of it is bad. I know some people could argue, well, FGO has been improving in its own way. But if you watch the entirety of this review, I am not judging FGO by how much it's improved by its own metrics. This display of artificially prolonging events, a snail's pace schedule for main story chapters, and dead periods vastly outnumbering the times when the game undergoes drastic change. So I'm granting them the below expectations rating once again.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of, yeah, that's fair.
But I don't see the point of beating a dead horse. I haven't even talked about the lack of content this year as well. There were 2 reruns back-to-back for a total of 6 weeks, so for roughly 2 months, there was no significant new content. For the record, I don't consider events quests or interludes as events, since it's a basic expectation that challenge content is rolled out periodically, much like how the majority of gacha games just release them as monthly or bi-weekly editions. They are not events. Now, this portion of the video was appended on the very last day before the video was uploaded. And after seeing the announcements of the 9th anniversary,
expanding
I just
on
gotta
this.
say, yikes.
Yeah.
There were no major quality of life changes, and the addition of the 2 new append skills are another way to artificially add grind while requiring players to pull even more copies of the unit. However, the reason this video was delayed for a day is that after the JP player base did some convincing on Twitter, against all odds, Lysenko actually issued a response within
Thank God they
24
did.
hours. You can now transfer one append skill to another, so while this still doesn't change the fact that you have to pull 8 or more copies of an SSR to max everything out, it is at least something.
No, it's 6. I'm not sure if he saw the other updates, but it's 6. It still sucks. There should be no reason to go above 5. It still sucks, but it's not 8. It's not 8.
Extremely unprecedented. This must have struck a nerve so hard that it forced their hand. As many pointed out, this is not nearly enough to address.
Oh yeah, this was between the announcements. Okay, that makes sense then.
It does not change my perception of Lysenko as a company. It comes down to whether the big spenders are okay with this as the minimal amount of improvements. Remember, with a lot of these larger...
They definitely were testing the waters, yeah. They were, because the response was so fast, and considering they never respond to basically anything the players say, it's pretty obvious. They knew from the get-go it was gonna be a hard sell, but they were like, what if they let it slide? Yeah, they were definitely testing, and then they had this backup plan of, you know, of a fix in case the complaints came in, and they did. And again, you could see Kano Yoshiki's face when he was announcing it. He was not happy, because I'm sure he even knew about the fix. Even when he did the initial announcement, he knew it was gonna be a thing, you know? So it just sucks, but what can you do?
Corporations, you give an inch, they take a mile. But hey, we'll see if 120 quartz is all it takes to shut the players up. The Fate universe is vast, possibly one of the largest Japanese intellectual properties out there. One cannot
It's
deny
up there,
the
yeah.
cultural significance, as well as the quality of its story and character designs. At its core, FGO's gameplay loop is fine. Simplistic on the surface, but with layers of complexity under the hood.
That's fair.
I think in terms of freedoms and builds or strategy, the game allows servants from all varieties to shine. For a game that has held steady for 9 years, I would say it still speaks a lot about its staying power and the dedication of its fanbase. I tend to go a bit easier on older games, since I know they never had the foresight of modernizing it to the current market. That being said, FGO has had a lot of opportunities to improve its mechanics and make changes. Now, I'll tell you the one argument I hate when any defense regarding live service games show up. You can't criticize the game because the devs will fix these problems in the future.
What?
My response to this will be the same every time.
That sounds like
I
a
can't predict
silly
the
argument.
future. Neither can you.
What?
I will review the product in front of me right now. Regardless if anything
Why
gets
would you
fixed
not be able
in
to
the near
criticize
future.
something
The
that might
problems
be
I have
fixed in the
stated this
future?
video have been affecting the game for the better part of
You should be able to
7
criticize
years.
anything that's
I
currently
actually
live
started
in the
on
game.
Script for this video by early May. The reason this wasn't put out sooner is because I wanted to wait until the announcements of the 9th anniversary to make sure that people can't make this argument. So for anything listed in the video, they are still valid criticisms. I've seen the anniversary announcements. I know it, you know it. And who knows, part of me really believed they fixed some of the game's problems, but hey, maybe 10th time's a charm. I've stuck with FGO for more than 2 years.
Damn, his login streak was pretty good. He only missed 2 days.
But to critique it so that it may become better. For those in denial of the state that the game is in, despite going into the modern gacha market, let me ask you. Does having a laughable pity system, poor developer responsiveness, and a lack of quick farm features give FGO its own unique identity? Is a part of the game's creative vision to leave out crucial skill descriptions in-game and mislead
I would say
players to their
at least
morale?
omit the quick
weird
farming
part
part, but otherwise I
FGO
very
is
much
the
agree,
one true
because that one is
anomaly in the
subjective,
gacha
I was still want to say,
Despite
even if
everything
it's a hot
that has
take.
happened, the game remains to have an extremely loyal and dedicated community. If another dev tried to do things at the pace of FGO, the game would fail. The Lightworks has literally tried that, and the game shut down in 6 months. You've seen the rating on the thumbnail. I cannot deny that the backbones of the story is supported by industry veterans, and when it shines, it absolutely
Honestly,
deserves to be
I don't think a
praised.
6 out of
But the
10
game
is a
hugely
bad
marred
score for
by
the game.
mismanaged development
I think it's pretty fair.
because part of me wanted to bump down the rating even more after seeing the
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm
anniversary
surprised he
announcements.
didn't go even lower
I
with it,
personally
like a
believe
5 or lower.
Complacency and mediocrity should not be rewarded. And this company right here is one huge pile of it. All I have to say when seeing the status of this game is, after 2 long years, I'm finally out.
Oh, is he stopping?
With these final words, I want to
Oh,
restate that
shoot.
a review is ultimately an informed opinion. You are allowed to
Damn.
disagree with me on
So,
any points
so
in
this
the
is his
video.
quitting
I know
video
that
as
FGO,
well?
and by extension the Tycoon
Damn.
franchise, has a long-standing fanbase. I know there are a lot of people passionate about this game. I do not want you to stop having fun with this game. What I want to do is to point out the good and the flaws, and push the development team to make the game better. Asking someone to play a gacha game for 2 years is a very long time. I stuck with the game throughout my journey because I was engrossed in the lore and the story of the Fate universe.
I feel like he should at least play through LB7 first. It's not that far away, but I guess, you know, I don't know.
Fantasy got the
Best writers on the
7
other side of-
tenths at Myst. That's how bad this rate.
Well, I don't know about Tower Fantasy, so I can't comment on that, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I feel like I should at least play LB7, but I mean, if he wants to quit now, then be free, I guess.
With that said, I appreciate your time being here today. You're free to leave behind any feedback or criticisms of this video down below.
Yeah, and I did.
If you enjoyed the video and want more gacha content just like this one, you know what to do. Thanks for watching.
Wow.
And as
Honestly,
always,
that went by pretty fast. That was 1 hour and 40 plus minutes. Obviously, it took even longer because I, you know, paused at points and whatnot, but there it is. I'll give him a like. I don't agree with everything he said. I still think some of the... There was definitely a good amount of nitpicking and some things he presented fairly objectively that I think were actually very subjective. But I agree with most of the things for sure, I think. Yeah. And even the score of 6 out of 10, I think is alright. I think that makes sense, kinda. Yeah. I'm okay with that too. And always, I'll still get... and he clearly put a lot of work into this video. So I'll give him a like. It's a good video. And a lot of people agree because it's got a lot of freaking views. So there you go. I'm gonna link this also in the description when I upload my reaction to this, I guess. Again, it should be fine, right? Because he said in the video as well, it's been over 3 weeks now. I waited, okay? And again, Psyche, if you're listening to this and you still don't want me to upload this, then instead of YouTube striking my video, you know, which don't do that, please, you can just message me. My DMs are always open. Discord, Twitter, you name it. I read everything. Even my business email on YouTube, you can go there. If you want this video down, feel free to let me know. But we did at least watch it on stream, in case that wasn't obvious with my chat as well. I had a great time at least. Yeah, let's see some comments as well as a bonus here. If FGO is a game of any other franchise would fail miserably, I think this is a reasonable take. It's no secret that the IP definitely carries a lot. Still like the game a lot. I'm not saying that just because, you know, it's like, it's how I earn my living, but I still love FGO, and I doubt I will never, you know, stop loving it, or ever stop loving it. There you go. Words. I did a double negative there. Oops. Someone quoted him, I know FGO players will disagree with me. FGO players, no, we're completely agree with that feature mechanic is BS. Alright. There you go. That was great, honestly. That was fun. Oh my god, someone used the... I'm forced to play Arknights tomorrow. Are you kidding me? God damn it. That's what happens at the end here. Use this channel point seal to make me play Arknights. But I'll do an outro here because, you know, this basically conclude my stream as well shortly after. So there you go. We watched the Atrocious Gacha review. Again, as I said, Links in the description. Go subscribe to Psyche as well. He clearly puts out a lot of quality content. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen any of his other videos because I didn't even know about his channel until the FGO video obviously caught my attention because everyone talked about it. So there you go. But maybe I should check some of his other videos too at some point. Very cool. And if you like this stuff, maybe let me know in the comments. Maybe we'll watch some other stuff too. Who knows? Even some longer stuff like this. Like on the video if you can. Subscribe to not miss out on future videos. Shout out to my patrons on the screen right now. And Suits for being a big YouTube member, of course. Done. Have a great rest of your day. And bye-bye.